The attacks look strong in this morning's match, and I know that we've had a lot of questions about their IGL situation when it comes to TSM.
Yeah, I mean, actually, this is something that Seltzer was able to talk to Gio about in the interview, talk about how the energy of the team really has improved since moving Merc more into that IGL role. It's not like he's the only person calling when they're on attack, but it's clear that when he's the one kind of leading the way, the team just has so much momentum, they can really get into it. Because you think of Chalet, you think of Gio, they're both great support players, but at times it can be quiet.
All right, and we are moving into the map ban phase, gentlemen. So, Jacob, I'm going to put you in the hot seat first. What are you thinking?
I mean, again, we saw one map that was not played by TSM prior to this tournament starting. They are now 1-0 on it, which is something that, you know, again, in the North American League, if nothing else, they were incredibly dominant on it. There's a reason you don't take them to Kafe, but do we see it again here?
Yeah, I think these first two bans are pretty well expected. I almost expected a bank ban instead of Chalet to come in from TSM. Instead, it's going to be the Chalet, or sorry, I expected the Chalet instead of the bank. It'll be the Chalet pick, though, from FURIA, which makes loads of sense. They're on a 6-game win streak here. Everybody bans Chalet against FURIA. The only game of any recency was a 7-2 over Ints back in the regular season, but it's been dominant for a really long time.
You said that, and it made me think of Ents, the old Finnish team.
Not quite the same. INTZ from Brazil, but for TSM, going to Kafe, a little better than a 6-game win streak, a 7-game win streak, and they just beat NIP here 7-1 this morning. It's a stupidly strong map for them, and I think anybody leaving it unbanned against them better have a plan.
Yeah, and I also think Coastline getting taken off the board by FURIA probably looked at that initial series and was like, yeah, TSM beat NIP on this earlier, would rather not have it in our back pocket for any reason. I do think Oregon still does. I think FURIA has more of a swing on it. It's 2-0 over the course of this tournament as opposed to TSM's 1-1 record. So we got one map in Chalet, which we've not seen FURIA play thus far, and we already know they're good at. We have another map in Kafe, which TSM just played for the first time in this tournament, and they've already won on it in spite of knowing how good their reputation is. So I think there's a clear bias for both of those, but in the event that we need a third one, TSM might need to dig a little bit deeper than they have so far in Oregon, just from looking at their group stage results.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your excellent analysis as always, but Furious Fraggers versus TSM's Trinity. Who will come out victorious? Ace and Dez, take it away.
Tim, when does Bolo play?
I mean, it depends how you're spelling it. There's
Boblo. When Boblo is my favourite player, of course. When does he play?
Favourite player, Boblo? Well, let me tell you, he plays right now.
Hey!
We've got TSM versus FURIA coming up in seconds, Des. We're just going to get into the lobby. This is a match that Des and I already cast in the stage, and what a game it was. It was 2-0 to TSM, but boy did FURIA run them close. The second map went all the way into overtime. It was a real humdinger, Des.
I love how your mouth just twitched. Humdinger. The side of your lips turned up as you said it.
I'm sure that this one is going to live up to it as well. I am particularly excited. There's a little sort of full circle going on here. If you remember, the third map a couple of days ago would have been Chalet. And me and you were like, we really want to see Chalet.
And now we get to see Chalet.
And now we get to see Chalet. It's the first game. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But I tell you what, TSM, they played well earlier, but their work is going to be cut out against them, against the FURIA side on Chalet. The analysts have just said it perfectly coming in. They are very, very difficult to beat there. But then you look over to Kafe, TSM, 7-game unbeaten streak. We have got two super strong maps for these two teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see them both take their own map and go all the way through to that third on Oregon, which, let's be honest, could be anybody's.
I just got a feeling about TSM on this map, Tim. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I just really like FURIA.
I know you do. You don't want to like put your boys in the mud.
I don't. I honestly think it's too close to call. I think a lot of people will just.
It's going to be
TSM.
You say it's too close to call. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-0.
2-1.
Okay.
2-1 to one of them. I think it's.
No fence sitting.
2-1 FURIA.
All right, I see.
I think they're going to surprise a few people. The thing is, when you look at the stats so far over the tournament, I will absolutely agree that the stats support TSM. You've got Achieved, Merc and Bolo all rated up or above Miracle. Miracle's the only one close to them in terms of the rating. Beyond that,
he's been
the rest
popping this
of Fury,
tournament.
Miracle's been playing really well. So we need a couple of the others. I mean, Fantasy's over 100 kills. He's been playing well. They're just saying that the average FURIA rating is definitely lower than the average TSM rating. That much is for sure. But if you remember that game, Des, it came down to a lot of 3Ks, 4Ks for TSM. It was Bolo coming in and just smashing everybody in a round, and then Achieve doing the same thing, and Mert getting in on the action. It was all down to these hero players, and we kept saying, surely these can't last forever. Well, they did, but maybe they won't carry forward day to day to day to day. FURIA, they've had a nice rest this morning. They've had time to prepare. This is their one game for today. TSM, they've already been through one. They had a great win against NIP, probably a little unexpectedly quick. Now they're coming in against FURIA. Let's see how quickly they can turn this around.
The bans to start with are really interesting for this map. Maverick, not seen super often on this map, but with it being banned away, it does make the downstairs site a bit more viable. The Finker ban is one targeted against TSM coming out of FURIA, for the sole reason I imagine that we saw Bolo playing on it earlier on and having an absolute field day. Also gave him a little bit of bother last time around these two teams played, so we're just saying we'd rather have that off the board, force you across onto the Iana instead. And we go forward from there. Defender-sided bans are everything you come to expect these days. You know, it's not Wamai, it's Valkyrie. If it's not Valkyrie, it's Mira. If it's not Mira, that's basically it. Those are the three bans that we just see seemingly. Maestro, we've seen banned like once, twice, maybe.
A couple of times, but
Echo, we've seen banned away once. It's any spicy defender bans.
It's Valkyrie Mira, bless them.
What have we seen on defense?
Two operators that I love to play as well.
We saw Mute target ban yesterday, which was quite fun.
Can hear everybody out there going, yeah, you love to play them because they're so powerful.
That's it, mate.
Yes, I do.
You broke them.
Yes, I do. Right, we're going to be going down to basement, Des.
It's almost like I called that with the ban coming through, right?
It is. We're going to be going down to basement to start things off. FURIA on the defence. This is a site that we've seen sort of hit and miss for the defenders so far. We've actually seen attackers struggle to get plants down here, and it seems to be becoming a little bit more viable. I'm interested to see my particular focus, and I encourage everybody at home to watch along, is where do the breaches go? What breaches are we getting played? Which walls are going to be destroyed? Is it going to be the snowmobile wall? Is it, thank you very much, Sarno, is it going to be the, where am I going, trench wall? Or is it going to be, it's ahead of me anyway.
I wasn't sure if you were confused by yourself then, or if you were trying to bait him. Like, oh, are we going blue? We're going a bit of trench today, are we?
Or is it going to be the big garage wall at the bottom of Westminster's? Or a combination, 2 or 3 of them? Yes. I would expect to see, there's one factor in here that needs to be played out by the defenders and considered by the attackers, and that is, are they holding on to Dining Hatch? If they're holding on to Dining Hatch, attackers have got to go and clear it, and then they can worry about pushing into site. I've not seen anybody from FURIA inside of Dining so far, so I'm not sure that they're actually holding on to that. So that gives TSM a little bit of breathing space, and they are straight in looking to open that snowmobile wall.
Cozy job done. As said, the Iana's coming out here with the Finker band away. They're not going to be able to play that, so you will see quite a bit of Iana, I imagine, coming into this. Again, an interesting kind of step back for TSM, where it's Mert playing on these entry-based operators. Bolo stepping back more towards the flex. The change they made was making Mert the IGL and stepping him into a more passive position, but you can't afford to be passive against Fantasy. A good trade coming in, 1-for-1 in the early round.
Still a big operator to a loss, achieved on the sledge, not able to utilise either of those grenades that he's got, and that is definitely going to be a loss. Bolo takes a little bit of damage in that fight as well. Fantasy almost had himself 2 there, but a spirited start, I will call it, between these two, both getting in there and looking to do damage to the other. Bolo needs to be careful, he's got a man above him there, and there's a hole in the floor that's going to allow Heiss an angle onto that window, so certainly something Bolo needs to consider. Heiss has just backed away for the time being. I think he's just double checking. He's got angles opened up onto both windows here. Could be a cheap second kill for FURIA.
Could be, depending on which window he goes in through. But I think Bolo, as soon as you... Oh, no. No, no. Oh, at the perfect time, he gets concussed out. Unlucky, I guess. Bolo's had his number. He just knew.
I think he knew exactly what was coming, but so did Red, as he's going to take the head off Merc, and that leaves us now 4 versus 3, and FURIA are looking pretty good. Time has ticked by, 2 minutes have been burnt. They've still got Heiss on the top floor, who can come back on a flank, let's not forget. Open the bottom of West Main Stairs, I like that from TSM. It gives them the option to completely cut off the wine play. They can't move around here now. Once they clear pillars out, that should be TSM's, and they can start getting access into the plant spot. They're opening trench wall as well. I like what I see, Des.
Last smoke coming out here from Lender, so this is where things just start getting spicy. Bolo first trying to remove the shield will be successful. It understands there's going to be one inside the blue, and he would be correct. Lender and one other. Sat currently, I believe it's Miracle, inside of Connector. So a bit of a double stack going on inside of there that does enable them to challenge onto both the south breach and also up towards the north. But Tim, with 20 seconds on the clock, they've got to get a bit of a move on. Charlotte finding one, Bolo a second. It's all come online in the matter of seconds here as Miracle bounces back. Now down goes the other one. Gio's fallen to the floor. Bolo's left in a 1 versus 2. But can he find the last man? Can't see the swing. The man's outside. He must know about that, but can't do much about it. He can't full sprint, sadly, Tim. Oh,
nice.
I was nervous for a second.
What are you doing to me?
Tim's like on the floor having a heart attack here. You can't do that to him on Valentine's Day.
Well, you've got 4 seconds left to go. Why are you peeking that? Don't be doing that to me. Fury are going to take the round. I tell you what, it was a great attack from TSM, and that's exactly... Do you remember I was speaking about this attack the other day, Des? And I'd commented that when FaZe were defending it, they'd had success because Cyber had been able to move around in wine and pop around with the shotgun because they hadn't opened up at the bottom of West Main stairs, so they didn't have the angle through to cut it off. Well, TSM did, and it showed us that with just 3 operators on the attack, you can take on a bigger force and still get into a position to potentially plant. FURIA did well, they stood up tall and they got themselves a couple of kills, which was what was needed. But there's a different timeline there where TSM just find those picks and go in and put the diffuser down. It is absolutely possible. Once you clear pillars out, you need 2 men to just stay in trench corridor. 1 watches towards Connector, 1 watches towards blue, and they can do nothing inside of sight. So long as you've got a flank drone on West Main, you pretty much can't be flanked unless they drop the hatch into Big Garage. But again, you should have that covered with a Claymore, with an air jab, with another drone. You know, you should have that information to hand for the 2 players that were dead, feeding it back in. It was nice from TSM. It just fell short.
What I did actually really enjoy were those vertical holes, right? Even Bolo was aware of them for quite a while over the top of West Main. You can get that cheeky little angle straight down to just shy of the double wall leading in from the north side, but ultimately not used too late in the round. It was more in the early trying to deny entries in through the windows. Baron Gaming, arguably the go-to site on this map, as we've spoken about many, many times, is where we're going to head to in round 2. Merc did 6-pick away from the Twitch into the Nook. Now, if undetected, I imagine on the side of Fury there could be a little bit of nervousness here. They also swapped out last second and brought along highs on the Warden, maybe expecting that to be a pick into a Ying, or just in general to deal with the flashes that are coming out of the Habana. A few teams have been bringing along Warden because they want the shield and they kind of don't really have any other operators to play. You've got a Smoke who's already doing it for you. What else do you want to play in that instance? Achieve getting the entry. But I think here what we've seen from TSM, we saw it in our first series earlier on, NIP did it as well. They bring along the C4. I don't know if it's a really strong LATAM thing since a lot of LATAM teams seem to be doing it, but it's a growing thing we're seeing so far in the tournament.
Furia then at a disadvantage here. This time it went the other way. Last time Fantasy was able to pick up Achieved as the opener, but this time he gets his revenge and gives his team the advantage. TSM still need to clear out this top blue stairs position. This is going to be their priority pretty much now because he's helping the man stay on mezzanine. So once one of those goes, both of them likely fall. So it's all about trying to remove Miracle's shield in front of him, and that's exactly what starts happening. The utility will start raining in. They clear that shield out. It means Miracle has to play this position much more passively, and TSM can get aggressive then onto mezzanine. Miracle just taking pot shots through the soft wall there, seeing if he can catch anybody out in office. It's always worth it. They're not short of bullets, but he won't get anybody on this occasion. Halfway through the round, TSM, I won't say stalled out, but just taking their time.
They're starting to get all their pieces in order here, Tim, to make a play. Yeah, I'm looking towards Merc, who's now just moved his way into lobby, by the way. He can probably really upset Hides here, who's sat at the top of library stairs. Bolo finds one, and sure enough, Merc has got him behind him. He had no idea he was there. And like that, mezzanine has been blown wide open, not seen on the default cam inside a lobby, and they didn't know this pick was coming because it was a Twitch originally. Good play from TSM and showing how you can use the sick pick to upset the defenders.
Beautiful play from the Knock there, using the ability perfectly and just getting back in behind that troublesome mezzanine spot silently to deal with it. 5v2, and it's looking good for TSM, but 45 seconds left to go. That man once again, Miracle. Furia might need one of those inside of this round to win it, but he gets the first kill. He knows exactly where somebody's positioned up above. Lender just managing to avoid a death there. Miracle needs
both on 1
something here. The nade comes out and downs him. He just didn't make that attack, and he might wish that he'd got a little bit more aggressive. Lender finds one, but that will be all as Bolo gets the trade, and that is going to be TSM TSM taking round number 2. We are 1-all, and I feel like this is going to continue. I think this is going to be a very close game between these two and hard fought.
Absolutely. Again, I know we've touched on it in the middle of the round, but big props to the side of TSM for the work that Nook did there. Completely unexpected and clears out Mez. That gives them much more comfortable control of Library. You haven't got to worry so much about Library stairs. You can just force the man back. Chances are he'll drop away of his own accord, knowing that he is completely unsupported. They've done a bit of a switcheroo here and baited things around. What they're going to do instead is take the Nook away and bring in the Twitch. So, looking to keep FURIA guessing. I'm not sure if Lender's change away from the Jaeger onto the Melusi is in response to that, because of course, whether you're invisible to cameras or not, if you step inside range of one of those Banshees, they're going to make a lot of noise and slow you down, which would leave the Nook a sitting duck. The Twitch, a little bit less so, able to help clear out a bunch of utility around the map.
Top floor then, we're likely to see TSM try to get themselves established inside a library and on office balcony, breach the wall near the little half wall inside of office and move in for a plant there. Alternative attack would see them coming in from the solarium side, taking control and moving into master bedroom by controlling the double window inside of master bedroom. But I've got a little bit of a library feeling here for TSM. I think they come in from that side. It's a little bit easier to get boots on the ground, particularly. You can see there's a lot of utility over towards that solarium side. There's 2 laser gates on the windows, there's barbed wire down. Very difficult to get in there.
Really going for it. And you see this hold sometimes, right? It's either this one up here or you're really trying to lock down inside a library. If you're trying to do both, you're spreading yourself quite thin and it should be more comfortable for TSM to break one open. At the minute you've got Highs on the south side of the map who's holding out towards library, don't imagine he'll be down there for all too long. He'll pull back at some point because all their focus is indeed going up towards that north side. Rare rotating underneath, he's trying to stop the man coming in through the trophy window. Don't know if they'll send him on a drone at this point either, but if they come vaulting in, that could be where our first kill in the round steps through, Tim.
Certainly could be interesting to see TSM going for this solarium-sided push. It's one that I always enjoy. The yellow ping there, just going to try to give away the position of Rare, but he manages to escape. But the Hounds are here, and they have found him. But here comes Fantasy to the rescue! Manages to shut down Merc and Bolo on a big flank there. The Aruni absolutely destroying 2. A very late trade from Achieved, but the damage may be done. 3v3.
Let's look at what they got rid of here, Tim. They got rid of the shock drones coming in from Merc. They're now static and they can, of course, use information, but they shan't be zapping anything. Bolo also gone on the Zofia, so any leftover utility gone, as well as the man who's currently dropped 5 kills throughout the game. It's a pretty good trade overall, given the Aruni and the Mute have already got all their gadgetry deployed as well. May have dropped with a C4 in back pocket on the side of the Mute, but not the end of the world. For TSM, though, they have 2 minutes to play in a 3 versus 3. I quite favour those chances, to be honest with you, Tim. They've still got the 2 nades in the back pocket of Achieved here as well, who can do some damage from below onto those playing above. So a chaotic start, but one that I don't think has really had either team coming off too badly, to be honest, and say all things are equal come the end of it.
I would say so. And now FURIA, they're going to try to hold on to this top floor. They're turtling down. They've got themselves back to sight, and they know that the pressure is coming from that North Solarium side. TSM just taking the step of rappelling in now. I'm pretty sure they've got one with boots on the ground instead of Solarium, so things could get a little bit difficult. You got to watch the double window. Achieved, managing to almost, I don't know how he's missed his shots there, Des. He's not actually taken. I looked across, expecting somebody on FURIA to be half health, but no, it was the Melusi of Lender that got away with it, but getting away with nothing is Highs as Charla shuts him down. Lender, I don't know why you're peeking that double window. It's not going to end well. Geo is in, getting the diffuser down. It's all falling apart for FURIA. It's all up to Lender, gets one. Achieved is just going to stay on that window until the end of time now. Geo was unable to get the diffuser down. 20 seconds left. Lender could force a play here.
I think he thought so on the other side as well. No, they know exactly where he is. This swing could be absolutely huge.
They don't.
He doesn't know about the man going in for the plant here. They see him now. They do get the shutdown. It was a matter of pixels for them to see him around the back of the wall to get the closeout. But my God, he could have played massive spoiler there, Tim.
Oh, Lender's movement there just took him out of where TSM thought he was going to be, and it just looked on our screen like there was a glimpse of the top of the head of the Hibana. I mean, there's a couple of things going on that you've got to remember here. Very important. The silhouettes help us massively. We know exactly where Geo is, so 3 pixels are blindingly obvious to us because they're inside inside that red silhouette. But also, the players obviously can be on different setups in terms of screen ratio and everything else, so it may well be that the visual to them may be slightly different to the one we have here. So, either way, Lender missed his man, Gio able to close it out, and for a second there, I thought FURIA might grab that one, but TSM lock it down with a good attack, and they find themselves 2-1 up now, and starting to find a little bit of breathing space, maybe.
Just a little. It's not going to be absolutely earth-shattering if they come out this half at 4-2. I know currently at SI this is a pretty balanced map at the 50-50 mark, but historically many would look at it and say, hey, attacker-sided map. One thing you kind of have to consider when talking about map stats as well is exactly what teams have played on them, right? Like, it's all good saying, you know, oh, this map's got a 80% defensive win rate. If that sandbox getting slapped about by a team in their group a couple of times, that can skew those stats quite heavily. So I'm still leaning towards, say, TSM are hoping to come out with at least 3, ideally 4. FURIA will not feel too beat up if they're down on the count coming into the second half, because that's when they'll really get to shine on the attacking side of things.
Okay, then we're going to go to kitchen and dining for round number 4. FURIA hoping to lock it down, and we'll be doing much the same as the last round, and that is keeping hold of this top floor. You can see the utilities all in place, reinforcements, wall denial. We've got the electricity from Rare just positioned on that office wall. We've got a shield on piano, barbed wire, verticals. Everything is about this top floor and holding on to it for as long as possible. This time TSM have got themselves in from the library side, and I think they're going to be looking to sweep across very, very soon, but they will come across some stiff resistance. That is big though. The Twitch drone able to sneak past Fantasy and take out the electrical.
He's starting to take some pressure now as well. Doors being smacked up, the library always been clear. They can get the breach opened up. So much starting to work against Fantasy that sure enough, he will have to dip away, gets himself up towards the north, not overstaying his welcome. Just glad that he's burnt through a couple of drones and wasted a chunk of time.
It's going to keep holding the angle on the piano here, and if TSM aren't aware of this, it's going to be very risky for them to push forward, but they're doing the office door at the same time, which is the smart play. That obviously opens up his flank, so he has to dip away from that. TSM doing very well here, Des, at forcing FURIA out without actually risking lives. This is all about jostling for position, and I love how they are doing it. They're just putting FURIA in unwinnable positions and forcing them to dip away.
It's really smart as well. Achieved has been kind of the drone bearer for the team at this point, making sure his team knew what was ahead and preserving the drone at the same time. Something not a lot of teams do very well, I think, is keeping drones alive. They'll just let themselves chew through them and go, ah, well, it got shot out, let's get another one in the mix. Although they're down 5 so far, they're still doing good work. Fantasy, though, still finds a way to get the opening kill onto the man I was just heaping praise on, only for Highs to step in and get a second. TSM are down 2, and they don't have full top floor control. Fantasy into a double, a 4v2, and it's Merc and Gio have got to pull this off in the next 45 seconds, Tim.
Despite being pushed across that top floor almost at will, FURIA have done a great job of wasting time. They've held on for long enough, and they've taken up about 2 minutes before TSM really started getting any kills here. They now find themselves with a man advantage. It's 4 versus 1.
Cover.
3 versus 1 effectively as Fantasy is down, but with Merc not yet inside of the building and only 24 seconds left to go, Miracle and Rare, they're going to be pretty confident here that they can get this job done, because Merc has to go in and find these kills. They can just hold angles at this point. You can see everything is raining in towards him. He was running a real gauntlet there, and it's ultimately Rare that shuts him down. 2-2 on the scoreboard.
Really well played by FURIA, right? We commend TSM for good drone work, but for the good drone work to take place, there really has to be a team that's matching that reaction on the other side, right? As they got droned out, as the pressure started to build, they slowly pulled their way back towards Solar Stairs, and rather than completely giving up on top floor and saying, hey, let's get back downstairs, let's work our way through Trophy, be back on site, ready for the assault to start. No, they kept a couple of them playing around that top floor and just stepping into the pockets that TSM weren't checking. And sure enough, Fantasy finds itself a big 2K, a third one comes through, leaving only Gio and Merc in isolation to try and close it out. And sadly, there wasn't enough time for them to get anything done. So a very good defense by FURIA. Good resistance being shown without overexposing themselves.
Round number 5, we head into and back down to the basement. This was a site that won by FURIA back in round 1. It's the first time we're going to see them return there. They could have gone back in the last round, but chose not to. We've actually seen a full rotation of all 4 sites from FURIA. It's something I like about Chalet at the minute, is we are seeing plenty of time for all of the sites. opening up the dining hatch this time. They didn't really play anybody up there last time around. It was sort of roaming further around the map. It was highs up on top floor and trying to be difficult from there. This time they're going to open that. I think Fantasy's going to play inside a dining, and it just means that TSM have to spend time going to clear him out. They have to risk lives going to do it before they can start pushing in towards rear, if that's what they choose to do again.
I don't think their ideas on the last attack were overly bad, to be honest with you.
TSM played it really well.
It did, yeah. I mean, it came pretty close. It was down to the 1 versus 1 in the close, which was forced largely by the clock. If you remember, you had that momentary heart attack as he backed himself in towards the doorway, and Bolo could have won the 1 versus 1. But just about managed to dodge things out. So TSM haven't got to correct too much to get this right, which is why it then invites the side of FURIA to bring some new ideas, do something a little bit different. They're still doubling down on Mute and Mozzie. 2 C4s being on side, heavy information denial is definitely a smart play.
Got to hit that draw, Miracle. Need to be taking them away. Still 9 left on the side of TSM. What a ton of information, Des. You commented on the drone in last round, and it's going to be more of the same. FURIA going to be under an immense amount of pressure, I would imagine, here, and it's already building onto Miracle. He knows that somebody's just knocked out the barricade next to him, so he's going to be keeping a close eye on that. But for the time being, TSM are playing into this roam. Fantasy, if you remember, I pointed out playing in dining. He's going to take a ton of damage there and needs to be very careful about when he drops this hatch back to site.
For sure. I mean, with the breach being opened up, it was the same last time. It just gives the... I often speak about this kind of idea of phantom pressure. You know, no one's actually playing on the window that's been opened or the doorway that's been smashed open or the breach that's been opened up. They've all rotated off. But FURIA don't know that. They're in a position where if someone is there and we ignore it, guess what? We're getting shot in the back and they're cleaning through us like anything else. It'd be far too easy. So you've always got to be mindful of it behind you, even when no one's there, hence the whole phantom pressure. It's not real, but it kind of is at the same time.
That's it. It's a smart move for a little bit of utility. We see it with the defenders quite often. They'll slap a mirror window on a wall and not play anybody behind it. But it
or just punch a hole in the barricade, right?
It just takes you a minute and a half sometimes to actually be confident that that's not a problem. Bolo, he is a problem. Managing to shut down Lender, gets himself a second onto Rare, and Bolo might have just split this defense wide open with those 2 kills. 5 versus 3 and plenty of time on the clock. Fantasy and the rest of FURIA are all pushed back to site. Does he react quickest? He does not. Merc able to lock on, takes a ton of damage from the shotty, but not enough. And this could be a flawless round for TSM. Miracle, last one alive. Bolo's already successfully peaked this twice. Does he get away with it a 3rd time? He shoots down the concussion grenade. It's going to force Miracle out. He takes a lot of damage in doing it. Gio able to start getting that diffuser down.
Gets the one shut down, but Gio will be able to stick this plant by the looks of it, and not a lot the Miracle can do from this position. A 1 versus 4. I'd hate to be playing against Bolo knowing what side of the bed he woke up on today. He was ferocious in the series earlier on today, and he's proven to be the same once again. And speaking of that, it's a bit of a caster curse. I do apologise. Down he goes, a 1v3 Miracle. He's got about 15 seconds to play with here, Tim. I'm going to say that's nowhere near enough to be able to get 3 kills and stick a defuse, so it's looking unlikely, and TSM should be going back into the lead once again.
You would expect so at this point, especially on such low health. Gets himself another one. It's likely an impactless kill. He's got 7 seconds to do something here. Chalet shuts him down, and that is TSM taking the round and going 3-2. FURIA, they, I think, will be wanting this last round. They know that it gives them a little bit of an advantage. I think we're going to have a FURIA side that are very confident coming into the attack of Chalet.
Absolutely. I mean, given how things have started out here, you're seeing Fantasy playing with confidence today, right? Miracle, sort of the same story. 2 players at least that are ready to step up and take a fight to the side of TSM, which is great because Bolo is also stepping up and doing exactly the same. Achieved a little bit quieter than what we saw in the series against NIP earlier on, but I think against NIP they were never really challenged too much out on the roam, right? Like NIP were generally quite static and let them do what it is they wanted to do in relatively good amount of time. Sometimes they did delay them, but it definitely wasn't guaranteed. So Achieve could shine, moving freely as he wanted to, smashing floors open for fun. In this game, although he's 5-3, it's not quite the highs that we saw earlier on. And it feels like a really critical thing. The man's got a kill per round. That's the kind of guy who sits in the TeamSpeak or the Discord or whatever and is like, I got my one. Fresh to a T.
Certainly has got his one so far, as you say. Maybe not quite as impactful as we've had previously, but you know, I've been singing the praises of Achieved so far, and I'm sure that that will continue. I say he's certainly had a solid game thus far, but like you say, TSM maybe just looking for a little bit more out of this round, particularly looking to get themselves, stretch their legs, really get that that advantage before going into the defence. Because as I say, I think they're going to have a tough time of it. FURIA bringing along the Frost, just throwing them down on a couple of windows there, making it difficult to guarantee that TSM can get themselves safely inside of the building. Heise is playing an aggressive line here for Master defense as well. We usually see the mezzanine position played in relation to bar and gaming, but not as often when you're talking about a Master hold. It's just really signalling that we're going to try and hold on to Library.
As we spoke about before, right? You can hold on either side. You can hold it towards Solar or down towards Library. Just depends where you want to commit the bulk of your resources. And Library side looks pretty light right now. So as Chalet and Bolo starting to look at working their magic on that side of the map, on the other, no one getting set up just yet, but I do imagine we'll see a couple of TSM members look to focus over that side too. You got Mert looking towards lobby, indicating this should be an office side push. They want that wall opened up. May rotate one over a bit later on. Bolo once again finding another entry. It's the Bolo versus Fantasy show at the moment, Tim, and Bolo is on top.
It really is. That was down to good droning again. We've already picked up on it for TSM. There was a yellow ping there to say Fantasy's playing inside of there. You've got him trapped. And it was easy for Bolo to just wait for the man to move across. Gets the kill. Rare downed as well. And it's looking good for TSM to take the advantage here in the attacking half. 5 versus 3. And that was Merc that was able to finish that kill off. So TSM, you should have a lot of map control now. You can see ahead of you FURIA. All those blue silhouettes have been forced back to site or beyond, and it's now up to TSM to start opening up and to gaining access to site.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're in a 5 versus 3, you should not be giving away rounds like that, right? We know that the conversion rate of rounds where you get the entry is generally between 70 and 80%. If you get the opening 2, and one of those is a C4, you've got to be screaming from start to finish. They've got a lot of time to work with here, Tim. 75 seconds. Miracle, Lender, and Heise can be doing what they can. Lender and Miracle currently grouped up together, whereas Heise, I think, is still playing on the downstairs, waiting for potential nades to come in from below. Again, we know that TSM have been playing like that Achieve loves his frag grenades, and they could come singing in at a moment's notice. He, though, is off playing towards the doorway of office. Miracle holding onto the angle, knowing that he'll be stepping in as the rest of the utility comes flying in. They clear everything out. Miracle completely full flash. Got to hit the deck here and try and stay alive. Looking a bit dicey, Tim. 40 seconds to go.
Lender trying to find a tight angle there through onto the plant spot. We've got Heise on a run out. That could be big. Des manages to pick up Merc, but what it also does is screams to the rest of the team. There's 30 seconds and we've got somebody on the flank. Miracle finds one onto Bolo. Could not be better timed. 3v3 and TSM should be worried about Heise. It doesn't matter that he's come up the solarium stairs. It's the fact that he could be anywhere, although they may have flank drones that will just help them to avoid those concerns. The plant is going down from Geo, and this angle needs to be challenged. It's unsuccessful. Oh, Chalet goes big with a double. Geo manages to find himself the plant. Achieved locks it out, and there we go. TSM in a 3v3, not rattled at all. Getting the job done and closing out the half 4-2. Great performance from TSM so far.
A big one from Chalet as well. He's had a couple of those so far in that first half, where he's won ridiculously long-range fights as well, or won out in big moments. It's great to see. Really making sure they've got that 4th level carry on side when required. I remember back when he joined the team quite early on, he dropped like, what, 26 kills or something stupid? I want to say it was on a game of Theme Park. It kind of runs through in my mind. A good long while ago, but if that was true, then hey, he's putting up some good numbers today as well. So, at the end of the half then, Tim, what are your general thoughts? Because for TSM here, again, being up 4-2 on the attacking side, pretty good. FURIA on their own map pick, able to cause a little bit of trouble. A great, aggressive extended hold upstairs when they're defending inside a kitchen. Outside of that, it's been a little bit ropey.
It has been, to be fair. Absolutely. I think we're going to see a different FURIA side on the attack now. I think they're going to play into the Chalet stereotype that is attacker favoured. I know we've spoken about the stats. We know that it's been pretty even so far at SI. But I do think that we're going to see a better performance out of FURIA in the next few rounds. TSM, however, have impressed me so far. I've got to say it. You know, as we've said, Achieved has had his moments. We've had Bolo basically going a bit wild. Everybody's getting in on the action. This is the thing. Geo's had a couple of plants, which is what you're looking for from him. Chalet with a big double there at the end. I mean, you've only got to look at the stats there. 6-6-8 across the top 3 players. TSM are looking good. They are looking like that top 4 side that I keep touting them as.
What about FURIA? Do you put them up there at all? I guess it's a bit early to tell. We should wait until the second half, right? But they were, at the end of the day, first coming out of their group.
FURIA are always very difficult to place because they're unpredictable. In that sometimes they'll struggle to close games out. I've spoken about this. They'll get themselves to 6 rounds and then just struggle to shut it down. You never really know from FURIA. I think what I will say is if FURIA play their best Siege, I don't see any reason why they can't get into, like, you know, the top 8 or beyond. But they need to be consistently playing their best Siege. That's what I would say for FURIA. They need to not lose it for themselves. You know, if they can just come in here and play to their ability, then yes, absolutely they could be a contender.
All right, well, let's see how the second half goes down then. The Oryx on side for TSM. Achieve picking that one up to get things off. In fact, it's a very different lineup overall. Outside of, say, the Smoke and the Malusi, generally looking very different. Not forgetting that when FURIA were on the defensive side, they had the Mute, the Mozzie, looking towards the Intel Denial. There is absolutely none of that coming out of TSM, instead preferring to lean towards Wall Denial in the form of that Kaid.
See how Rare and FURIA choose to play this one then. They've a little bit of presence round at the Snowmobile garage, but Rare's actually just going to duck away from there. So I think they're maybe not too keen on trying to clear out that electrical. He's going to go and drone in from main lobby for the time being, but it's all about supporting this top floor clearance at the minute. Merkin achieved all the way up there, and they definitely need to be sent back to site, because one of the big problems with attacking onto the basement is the opportunity for flanks, whether that be if you're in main lobby trying to play down the stairs, or if they're coming down West Mid, it's always a problem. And there you go, achieved, stepping up. Merc as well, what a duo up on the top floor. Lender manages to get Merc, but Bolo gets in on the action, and TSM, they're going to start running away with this, Des.
Merc was undroned as well behind the half wall. The drone went straight past him into Piano, got shot out by Achieved on the Oryx, and that was enough. Highs was like, okay, I know where the guy is, not thinking there could be a second one. I should probably check those corners, and they pay the price for it. That said, he did almost lose out in that gunfight. Does walk away, walks away dead in the end, of course, but he was down to about 10 HP, so almost whiffed it.
Miracle trying to use the hatch here just to get some sort of advantage down into sight, but it's just a tight angle. You can't work all the way around that hatch. Going to put a couple of those SAM cams into the floor. That's going to give some verticals potentially.
Both
we can see
already.
Highs is on there. He's having
they're not the quietest though in the world.
They're not, and it's just about spotting them sometimes. Miracle's going to collect that diffuser. They need to try and get something going here. 58 seconds left to go. FURIA don't look close to a kill, and TSM have done exactly the right thing, Des. They've just fallen back to site. Yep, that's no problem. We're going to sit here and hold our angles and wait for you to try and do something. Thank you very much.
Little update for you on the other stream, by the way. Map 1 is already over. Liquid 7-2 in phase, taking 5 rounds on the defense and then going into winning 2 on the attacking side. So a great start for Liquid in that series, which many would have expected. Miracle wants to try and push it on towards Blue. Almost wins it out, but unfortunately can't do that. Lender elsewhere finds Achieved. Leaves him all alone versus 3. Him lonely inside a Snowmobile garage, held down from Blue, from the other side, from Connector, steps out, and Gio has the side angle as well as Bolo. The two of them taking those gunfights at the same time ensures Lender goes down and TSM take another round, 5-2.
At this rate, it seems like TSM and Liquid are absolutely hell-bent on catching us up with our schedule, Des.
Many would have favoured that to be a semi-final or even the grand final.
Yeah, the phase Liquid, absolutely. I've predicted...
Oh, no, TSM versus
TSM
Liquid as well, yeah, it's heading that way if it's carrying on.
It could be. And what a matchup that's going to be. Honestly, there's so many mouth-watering prospects when you look forwards in this tour.
They would play on Thursday, I want to say.
Nobody plays.
No, plays on Wednesday. Sorry, I'm a liar. I meant Friday. But Wednesday, these guys would play. Yeah, what a game that would be. Wow.
It really would. So, yeah, Liquid is an interesting one. I predicted Liquid, and I thought they might. They just seem to have been a next level above most teams at the minute, looking dangerous, and FaZe have been hit and miss. So there we go. That's map number 1. See if there's going to be any improvement in map number 2. If I remember the maps right, that map number 1 was Clubhouse, so that's the Liquid win. And then they go into Oregon, which is a Liquid map through and through. So FaZe have got their work cut out now.
They're not going to have a good time, that is for sure. It's really interesting looking back at history and thinking Mexico Major, dominated by Team 1, already out in group stage. Sweden Major in November. Won by FaZe, now not looking super hot.
I love it.
It's really interesting how you get those changes so quickly as well. We don't really see, someone actually asked this question, I think the other day on Twitter, they were like, will we ever see a G2 level dynasty? Will we see 2 back-to-back World Championships won? It's looking hard, isn't it?
If you remember, I said dominance within Siege now, because the bar has been raised so much, dominance within Siege to me looks like winning 2 major events in 1 calendar year.
Yeah.
If you can win the Invitational and another major, or 2 of the majors, I think I would class that team as dominant.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you're talking about like a ridiculous level of performance that I just don't think we're going to see because of how deep the pool is now. But back to the game at hand. Round 8, FURIA 2-5, struggling against TSM here, one of the big hopes of North America, and it's another one of those rat plays. This time it's Murky pops up from the Bathers, and he sends them into a spin as he manages to get that kill. Fantasy taken down as well. This is just becoming one-sided at this point. FURIA have lost their heads here, Des. It's 5 versus 2. It's less than a minute into the round.
Someone's definitely said first to 20 gets drinks bought from at the end of the day, because Bolo and Merc are racing towards that finish line right now. The early round is entirely owned by that pair. And Bolo, it's worth mentioning, is playing with the SMG as well. Not the SMG, the FMG, playing here with the Smoke. We saw this earlier on today from them, where we commented, you know, you are seeing some of these more entry-esque players, or the ones that like to get out in the map playing Smoke, because great gadget, got a shield for what the team needs, also got a great gun in the form of the FMG. You can switch over to playing on the SMG for when you need it. Too many MGs in here for me, Tim.
Lots of MGs. Lots of MGs being put to use by
GG soon.
There's going to be plenty of those as well. There's going to be at least 10 of them in the server if this continues as it's looking like it will. Highs is going to dump a nade in there, but TSM have already dropped away in time, so no damage done. Another kill comes in. It's going to be achieved this time. Honestly, like you said, Des, they're just fighting each other for kills now, and that's when teams get particularly difficult to beat, because they're playing for fun and they're just like racing each other to try and get them, and the confidence is high. It's going to be all up to Highs here, and I don't think there's very much he can do. He's playing into a shield, he's playing into utility. There's 3 spread out ahead of him. He's super low health. Diffuser down. It is stacked up against him.
It's a good way to like just make you feel super anxious constantly, right? Every single pixel you can see has got a gun being pointed through it at you, because there's all 5 alive, and you, poor old little you, holding everything by yourself. You're out of utility, you're out of information, you've got literally nothing but yourself and your own instincts to win some gunfights that can't quite find the head. And for Highs, it's another potentially torturous 30 seconds. One inside a lobby, one out on Mez, one out towards library stairs, one in library itself. What are you going to do except get shut down and give TSM the flawless round?
This is going to be a similar situation to that Airstream game, in that TSM are coming in here and absolutely destroying FURIA on their own map choice. We then go into Kafe, where TSM does unbeaten in 7. FURIA fans have got to be panicking right now.
I said this at the start, you know, given how TSM played before and given how the series went last time round we saw them play, yes, it came down to lots of what I'm calling now big hero plays out of TSM. You know, an ace coming in from Achieved, a 4K from Merc, a 4K from Bolo across 3 rounds, basically won the game for them. But you've just seen TSM go from strength to strength. They've really awakened into the tournament, it feels like. And at this stage, to be that awake, well, you've already had your warm-up today, Tim. You've had NIP. What a great scrim team that was for them to get warmed up ready for the game against FURIA.
It was very nice of them, wasn't it?
It was such a nice team. Saying, yeah, here you go. Be ready to play against FURIA. They're here to play, but so far it's only TSM that have really logged into the server.
That's it, FURIA struggling to show up so far. I wouldn't necessarily count on it being all one-way traffic when we come to Kafe. You know, FURIA are capable of putting...
Well, they'll start on defence, don't forget, as well.
You know, they'll do well. They're capable of putting a fight up anywhere at this team. They've shown us that. And if you remember, Des, the one thing that I've said about FURIA is they don't know when they're beaten. It doesn't matter what the score is. They could be 6-0 down now. And believe me, this team would still, in their minds, 100% believe we can go and win this. It's not a problem. And so that mindset will continue into Kafe.
They've got a small change up here in the DKB and the Lion being brought along, acknowledging, you know what, we're losing in the early round. We're just losing these 1v1 gunfights. It's crippling us for the mid to the late round. Of course we can't win. So if we have to sacrifice some late round utility in favour of bringing along the Lion and the DKB to get the job done, you're going to do it. What makes me a little bit nervous was in those prior rounds, they did bring a lot of very information-heavy picks, right? They had the Twitch, they had the Iana. There was a third one that Miracle was playing that I'm completely blanking on the thought of, but it was all very focused towards information collection, and that still didn't help them. I don't know if this is going to be the go-to fix, but I'm glad to see they're willing to change things up and at least try it.
I like the castle pick here from TSM. I think it's something that is going to frustrate FURIA even further. It's going to make their life more difficult. And if TSM pick up an opener, I think they're in for a serious problem. We're going to see some attention being paid from the Solarium side to bring things out. Gio's just going to need to... Sorry, it's going to be Merc actually on the castle. Needs to be careful just how aggressive he gets.
I knew it was going to catch you.
Right out.
The funny thing is, I was looking down the lineup and just thinking they've literally all changed roles. Achieved is playing on the the smoke.
You got a castle.
Bolo's back on entry. Gio's going into Bolo's old role. Like, what are they doing? It's constantly changing. Either way, it's a good start for FURIA as you hear those phones ringing out. Imagine if all of our phones sounded like that when they rang, Tim. It would be horrific.
Just that vibration.
Oh my God, please stop. Anyway, the entry comes in onto Bolo, so he will not be climbing that 13 count any higher in this round, and potentially no further in the map if TSM can come out on top, but a 4 versus 5 is not necessarily the best scenario to be in when there is still 90 seconds to play, and 2 frags in the back of High's back pocket.
Gio just taking a little peek. Oh, look at this aggressive from Merc. Beautiful to take Lender off the rappel and clear out Solarium. Charlotte gets a nitro, and all of a sudden we find ourselves 3v3. Here comes FURIA though, getting aggressive, pushing in, and they've taken the top floor. TSM managed to drop themselves away. It's kind of well played from them. They've wasted 2 minutes top floor, and they've got away with 3 lives. Not the end of the world, but still lots of work for them to do. As FURIA, they're about to start piling the pressure on, but the one thing I'm noticing, Des, there's no destructive capability for them.
They're going to have to push their way down the north stairs here, I imagine. Yes, they've got the drop in the hatch if they want it, but that's just so one-directional. It's why normally you'll have someone vaulting in through the trophy window and looking to come pushing down from there whilst you play in from above. But right now, no one's giving that angle of pressure. You've got Miracle looking out towards West Main. Fantasy is now moving his way down the solar stairs like we thought he might. So they've slowly got themselves squared up. You know, one to the north, one on the hatch. You've got Miracle playing to the west. It's a good idea. Miracle getting 1, getting 2. Absolutely huge coming in. Charla in a big clutch position here has got to hold down against 3 as the plan's starting to get stuck here. Can they do absolutely anything about this one? They have the longer angle. Fantasy finds it. Well played by FURIA. They took their time. They got the strong positions and came out on top.
Just keep in mind what I said about FURIA at the beginning of that round. And that is that they are a team that don't always know when they're beaten. And they managed to get themselves around there. Successful attack onto Kitchen, and it was better from them, Des. They come up against obstacles, but they found ways around them. Despite not being able to get any vertical action, for example, they still managed to find their way into sight to get those kills. Clash.
Is Achieved a Clash player?
We're about to, I was going to say we're about to find out, but unfortunately...
I cannot think of a single time where he's ever played Clash. I was going to say, surely that doesn't stick, and hopefully FURIA read into the same. We've seen him on the Oryx already a couple of times in this half, so not surprised to see it coming out here as well. We've spoken quite a bit about Oryx, haven't we, lately, where it's less really a focus towards hopping up hatches and looking to be problematic in that way, but more for things like site rotates. You can do without a shotgun if you really choose. Not that they'll do without one here. They've got Charla playing on the smoke, but normally you want a couple of shotguns for the site setup, the rotations you've got to open. Oryx helps to fill that, and the reason why you don't care about smashing your head through a few plasterboards is, of course, you've got the Thunderbird on site. Can juice yourself back up to full HP, then get out in the map on a roam.
I would likely say that this round is going to come down to gunfights, Des. We saw this defender back in round 7. It was TSM's first round. Merkin Achieved held down the top floor, got themselves a couple of kills, and just made it very difficult for FURIA to progress through the map. And that's why I say it's likely to come down to those same situations. Achieved on the Oryx, Merc on the Melusi. I think we'll see them both up on the top floor again. Achieved is already there to begin with. Merc has now joined him, and they're going to try to hold on in a similar way. FURIA, if they can get in and win those gunfights, they probably win the round. If not, then maybe not. I think that's what it's all going to come down to, is this battle over top floor.
So what you're saying to me, Tim, is if you win your gunfights, you win rounds?
Win your gunfights, win the round. Not always the case. You play objective, you can do many other things.
Yeah, but
I think this round is going to pivot on it.
Still got to win your gunfights, though.
If they come about. If they come about.
If there's a 5v5 plant, there is something very, very wrong going on in the game, is all I'll say, Tim. Let's see, though. You've got Achieved holding up on the upstairs. A couple looking to now press down onto the library window, or the library hallway window, I suppose I should say. Mark, hammering away on those digits on his phone. Saying to KB, no, reject call, get off. Keeping himself quietly tucked away at least for a few more seconds. No mute on side this time round does, of course, mean they can't just sit on top of those jammers and get the calls cancelled off. They do all need to press no, otherwise, after 18 seconds, they will automatically disable. Remember when they were unlimited before? That was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, your phone would literally keep ringing.
When you're the roamer and you can't put your gun down, it's just frustrating. You just can't do a thing about it.
You can now, of course, also run through. It's not prevalent here because there's no mute, but you can run through a mute jammer as well.
You can indeed. It's a hot favourite. Not enough people know that. I'm glad that you do, Tim.
Oh, there you go.
Knew you wouldn't let me down.
People can take that one away with them. Just run through a mute jammer and it cancels the call off. FURIA, they are starting to build some pressure from this rear side. They've got plenty of time here. They're looking to open trench wall. They're opening the wall bottom of West Main as well, just to try and get themselves that long angle into connector. So Gio needs to be careful because he could find himself challenged from there. Pillars is clear, which is actually good for FURIA. They don't have to clear anybody out from there. So that could be a little bit of a bonus for them, but they might not know, Des, because they've only got 2 drones left.
They've chewed their way through those incredibly quickly, given there's a whole execute still to really get set up for here and actually pull the trigger on. They're going to rely on the line. A great shot coming in from Gio. Finds Rez Noggin. Down he goes. Another one ports through to the north side hatch. C4 coming out, but shut up by Highs. That C4 won't go off. A smoke does as Chalet tries to hold on towards the side once more. Lender's going to find Merc. A 4v3. It's looking good for FURIA, Tim, until the Chief bounces back. Trade out it again by Miracle. It's just blow for blow for blow continuously between these two teams.
Chalet and Gio are in the right places to try and stop this plant going down, but Gio needed to hold on for as long as possible, really. He gets closed out, as does Bolo, leaving Chalet all alone. 2v1, and now it could be a little game of cat and mouse as FURIA try to get in and get this diffuser. Chalet's just going to plant his feet while the E1D goes off, and FURIA take that as an opportunity to move across and grab the case. They're going to go in for the plant. The cover is there, and that's why I was talking about that angle, Des. If you've got it opened up, you shut down connector. Simple for Miracle. A little bit tense for FURIA, but they got the job done. 4-6 now, and they are on the comeback trail.
Good throwback here to the old days of Lion and DKB ruling the roost, right? God, they've been absolutely obnoxious so far. The call's coming out, just giving enough information over to the side of FURIA. Lion at the right time there, pausing Chalet in his tracks. Otherwise, he gets across and towards connector before they're fully set up. So really good job there by Fantasy to hold on to that so late into the round and use it so effectively at the perfect moment. Bar and Gaming, we step into next. At this point, TSM have got every single site available to them and can pick to choose wherever they want to go, given the last couple have not gone the way that they would have liked. This could potentially be a big 6-2 comeback, Tim, if this carries on. We almost saw it earlier on today. And it starts to feel like maybe it's on the line once again. If TSM lose this, I think we really need to see a tactical timeout and they go for broke through something a little bit different.
Yeah, that's it. They've got to do something to take the wind out of FURIA's sails, and if that can't be winning the round, then yeah, you're sort of thinking you've got to just take that pause at that point and try and recenter, because they're going to be feeling a little bit beaten up. The thing is, we've got to remember this is one of FURIA's top maps. It is one that we don't see TSM on very often, and so it's easy to get it into your head that, you know, this is why we don't play Chalet. This is going to be a problem now. So TSM, they're going to be defending Bar and Gaming for round number 11. If FURIA win here, they will have the opportunity to lock it up at 6-6 and go into overtime. And it really gives us a game. And given that, I keep saying this, we're on Kafe for map 2. TSM have won it the last 7 games that they've played it on. You really feel like FURIA need to take this map.
I do think they do, yeah. If they get this one over the line, then I think going all the way to 3, FURIA are actually with a pretty good shot of taking out the series. If this falls by the wayside, I'm very nervous going into Kafe. Let's not count them out, though. We've already seen potentially incredible comebacks. We've seen 2, actually, in the last series of the day earlier on. 6-3 scorelines, only for the other side to swing things all the way back. And both NA teams in the form of SSG and... who else played? Remind me.
Sonics.
Sonics, that's the one. It was in my head at the start.
Na'Vi and Sonic.
You know when you like open your mouth and start talking, you know what you're going to say, then you get to that point in the sentence to say it, and the names have just disappeared.
You just get there too quickly. You're too far ahead of you.
It's so weird. So weird. I knew it was Sonic, I promise.
Well, we're holding on to Mezzanine for the time being, with Gio in the background as well. Just trying to hold on to that top floor for as long as possible. Lender, look at this. The pressure coming in from FURIA. Very quickly getting aggressive towards Library. They force Gio to drop away, who is this time on the castle Des, so there will be no confusion for Mikos there. Nope. Gio moving back across onto that operator. E1D scan is going to lock Bolo in place, and pressure is mounting on him. Whilst he's still got, it's beautiful. Whilst he's still got Merc at the top of blue stairs, Bolo should be able to stay here. But as soon as one of these get pushed away, it's trouble for the other.
He did draw a nade coming in from the office balcony from Highs, who then bailed away for a quick second. He's trying to find the longer angle to someone through onto sides itself, as they have chewed through time. Merc finding Miracle to get things off, almost loses his life, but somehow slips away with 5 HP. Fantasy finally striking and getting the shutdown. Chased him down, finds a second. He is awakened! It's a 3rd kill kill for Fantasy in the round, who refuses to let FURIA fall by the wayside. 4 versus 2 as the Lion Scam rings out once again. Surely TSM cannot hold on. Make it a quad, Tim. He wants to go for broke and find all 5.
He really is looking for it. Rare's got himself in and he's getting that diffuser down. This is Fantasy's kill, surely! And that's the ace that say that FURIA just don't have the good grace to know when they are beaten, Des. This one keeps rolling. They've brought it back to 5-6. And just as you suspected, TSM, they hit the button and say, it's time to slow things down. There's the emergency brake. There's the tactical pause. This one is getting out of hand.
It's just running away from them, and it's really weird because I thought Fantasy had been really quiet this map, you know. Everyone talks about FURIA, or did at the start of this competition, and said, you know, really Fantasy's the one, and the others are the supporting cast, it feels, in most instances. We've seen Miracle have a prolific tournament alongside Fantasy, and in this game I thought, well, Miracle's here, but where is Fantasy? Where is the Magic Maker himself? And comes up big in the round they need it most, forcing us to 5-6 and to full regulation. All 12 rounds will be played. One more, and we get overtime, Tim.
I'm so excited. I really want overtime between these two. Coming into it, I said that I thought it was going to be a hard-fought match. I thought we were going to see a lot of rounds. And honestly, kicking it off with an overtime would just be absolutely perfect. I want to see this turn into one of the classics of SI 2022. TSM, they had the run of LATAM earlier. We can't let them think that it's going to be like that forever, Des. We've got to really prepare these NA teams for coming up against LATAM. And FURIA are in a position to potentially do that, to show just how difficult it can be to beat them.
Just really smart play as well. Every single challenge that stood up before him, he was just ready and totally on the money. Either way you look at it, TSM, they're going to try it again, and they've really got to think of something different here, Tim. Because last time round, it was Fantasy walking through and taking down all 5. It's very rare that lightning strikes twice, but they are going to be pumped after these last 3 rounds.
Funny that you should say that about Fantasy, Des, because it wouldn't be the first time that he's
I understand, came in. Yeah, I heard he's on a back-to-back ace, he's that good, alright.
Wouldn't be the first time.
How many kills did he drop that map? 26, was it?
I think so, yes, it was high 20s.
Something ridiculous.
He got a 4K in another. He had 14 kills in 3 rounds, in 3 of the rounds.
Just ludicrous, right?
He had a 4K later on.
Imagine being 1 kill shy of having 3 perfectly flawless rounds.
Absolutely ludicrous talent. Absolutely ludicrous. I remember, if you just to give everybody a little trip down memory lane before we get into the meat of the action here. Do you remember SI21 when the Brazilians arrived in France and the whole of the timeline was like, right, EU ranked is not safe anymore. Fantasy's ridiculous.
That's kind of kicked off a little bit this weekend again, because obviously all the pros are here. So in their downtime yesterday, we're playing a bit of EU ranked.
Yep.
And not a lot of people are having fun against big, massive death stacks of pros just saying, yeah, well, it's a relax, boys. To be honest, oh, here's a quick 3-0. It's just horrible, mate.
Just not safe. And right now, TSM can't be feeling very safe, Des. They've lost 4 rounds in a row now to be brought back. No, sorry, 3 it is, bringing them back from 6-2 to 6-5. 1 more will do the job for FURIA. TSM are trying to hold on to Bar and Gaming. They didn't manage it last time around. They've got a very similar setup. I think they've got Geo inside a library, and then you've got Merc Blue Stairs, you've got Bolo on Mezzanine. It is pretty much exactly the same thing. We were saying they might need to change things up a little bit. The operators have changed. They don't have the castle this time. So that side of things, yes. Positioning, no.
It's very, very passive, right? They want to be incredibly defensive here. Don't want to go losing out in the map. They've realized the line and the DKV are a problem. Those 2 picks, everything has changed since they were introduced into this game. TSM just unable to deal with them effectively. Still no Mute on side, of course, to help with that. They're leaning instead in towards the utility drain. Merc finding 1. The thing is, Tim, I don't get too excited about that anymore because I've already seen what FURIA can do 3 rounds in a row.
Well, this is the thing. It was exactly the same last time. Merc onto Miracle for the opener. It didn't stop FURIA. It didn't stop this man, Fantasy. He knows that Bolo's playing in behind there. He's just going to bypass the shield. He's looking for the angle. Surely Bolo wins it this time. Shuts down Fantasy. And this could be the one for TSM. The tac pause might have given him everything that they needed. Ray Fire somehow manages to get right on top of Bolo before he hears him and finds the kill. Gio trying to fight his way out of library. Nitro goes over the top. Lender gets Charla. It's going absolutely wild here, Des. Gio, he's going to drop himself back to site. Furia 3v3 and really pressuring TSM now.
It kind of pauses for this brief moment here, though, where you've got 10, 20 seconds before the Executor's got to come in. Furia have already shown in this half how they can use time effectively to get the information they need and go for a close. Merc with 1, Merc with 2, a big 3K in the round. It's down to Highs, who's had a mediocre performance, is the only way you can call it. Not quite hitting the highs that we've seen before. 4 kills to his name. He's got to almost double the count in this round by getting 3 more. 20 seconds to play with here. Diffuser not in hand. He wants to try and play for these kills by the looks of it. But Tim, they're going to hold the cross here. They're just going to wait for him. I don't think he's going to find much. And Nade not going to be anywhere near Merc, who sat down inside a split. This one's going to close out 7 and 5. Furia, hearts broken in round number 12. But we get to see what they can do on the defensive half of Kafe after the conclusion of this game.
The clock ticks down and TSM take themselves a hard-fought victory.
Again?
Boy, did they come out of the traps fast there. They were absolutely all over Furia to begin with. And again, I'm going to give big plaudits to the North American side. They looked lethal. And then Furia able to just creep their way back into it. Took us all the way. It's so reminiscent of what we saw in the group stages, Des. I just want to see as much of this game as possible. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, you've been blessed there, Tim, because you just had 12 rounds of it as well. What a fantastic map that was. It had everything in there. A fantasy ace is always first on the bingo card when these two teams come together. Multi-kills from Bolo, Merc, achieved. Miracle having a great game. It was very back, well, I don't say it's back and forth because it was quite one-sided for much of it. But the swing back at the end just goes to show this is going to be a really hard series to predict. My only worry is, as you said, going into the next map, Kafe, it's TSM's.
Furia have got big odds to overturn. It's as simple as that. 7 games unbeaten on Kafe for TSM. It ain't going to be easy for the LATAM team now to keep themselves in the upper bracket. TSM could be breaking LATAM hearts today single-handedly.
For the NA teams, we always said it was a gauntlet going up against these LATAM teams, and TSM are doing very, very well at that journey so far. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, Kafe awaits. See you in a few. Is that what we've got to do to be that good at Siege? Just copy Bolo and the whole... Yeah, this... Merc had the whole, like...
Bolo's the other one is that one, and then...
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think me having done that is going to make me any better.
You'll sit down later and you'll drop 15 kills on Chalet.
You reckon?
Trust me.
I'll be a first.
Trust me. We'll take a look at the stats in a second as well so you guys can see what those look like. But... whew, if you're joining us and we can maybe put a break on the A stream, I don't know what's going on over there right now, but you've missed an absolute screamer. Back-to-back here on Chalet. Merc 4-0 on the entry. Like I mentioned, Tim, they peeled him off entry and said, you're the IGL, sit back and play things like Sledge, a bit of Zofia, Goyo, for example, cool for the team, don't be in the thick of things. He's kind of gone back into that role, though, and look how well he's playing.
He's done all right, hasn't he?
He's laughing. I mean, I'd love to see his overall... In fact, I'm going to look it up in a minute. I'm really curious what his like actual entry ranking is now, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's climbed up to being #1. Genuinely.
Like you say, it was...
I'm looking, okay?
It was definitely a good map for him. 2 of those entry kills did come back-to-back in a couple of the rounds. So, you know, it's not maybe as widespread as it looks, but it's certainly still a big influence, because I know at least one of those was the round where Fantasy got an ace.
So he's currently #1.
Wasn't one, but that does, as you say, take him to #1 overall on entry.
Yep, plus 17. He is 1 ahead of Nesk, 3 ahead of Pamba. Not forgetting, of course, that Nesk is playing right now. And as well as we know Nesk, it's a fair chance to say he's going to be positive on entry in some way, shape or form, Tim. So maybe him and Merc right now are fighting for the top spot.
I would guess that you could be right there, Des. I think Nesk senses these things. He's like... You'll quite often find if somebody's coming close to his start, he'll just go crazy in a game, and I think he just senses it. He's just like, oh... Merc's getting close to my entry stats. Entry, and he just goes like absolutely crazy.
Just goes nuclear eye. If you missed it earlier on again, the next map we are stepping into is Kafe, and a side-out will be Oregon if we make it that far. The thing me and Tim are very nervous about is we cast TSM earlier today on this map against NIP, and they slapped them silly. A 7-1 scoreline. Dominated them, Tim. So... FURIA have got to have learned a lot very quickly in the last 3 hours to see how they can best TSM. The only real blessing in my mind is they are starting on the defense, which gives them a bit more time to work with.
Yes, I think it just lets them...
Whoa. They chose to start an attack. Yo, it's possible on our screen because we're going into the game now. FURIA are on attack. Not too sure about that one, Chief, but let's see how they do. Yeah, forget everything I just said, Tim. I think this will be a quick one.
I think it could be. FURIA could be in trouble here, Des, with TSM coming in, starting things on the defence, especially 7, well, I keep repeating it, but 7 games unbeaten on this map. You've got to expect that they are going to have big moments here and a lot of understanding about the defence. Bans come in, Thatcher, I'm just going to merge them together and save myself some time. Thatcher and Flores are going to be the first 2. Pretty standard for what we've seen so far, banned on Kafe.
I did get a check with the admin, so I was just like, well, observer in this case, but bless him, Sino being the go-between between me and the admin, just asking, you know, did they genuinely pick to start an attack? And yeah, the answer was that they did. I'm nervous about it because TSM, was it 5-1 earlier on against NIP? They really did dominate them out. Now, FURIA don't have as many time problems as NIP do, admittedly. They are a little bit quicker, a little bit pacier. I don't think TSM will be able to sit as static and just wait for FURIA to come to them. They'll have to get busy. Does that mean FURIA will start employing things like the line and the DKB again? It could be that based on the last map, they saw that roll of attacking round wins and thought, you know what, we're really in the zone right now with our attacks. Let's keep on running with it, and we can start out strong. Even if we get 2 rounds, that's still not a bad thing to go into our defensive side on. So maybe that's part of the thinking. But for me, again, I still ask questions is what I'm saying here, Tim.
Careful, Des. You'll sound like me soon.
What?
Really trying to dig to find that positive for FURIA there. Just sound like me before long. There's nothing wrong with it. You carry on.
Sounding like you? Laser gates!
Well, I didn't mean like that, because that's...
Cool down.
We all know that sounds nothing like me, Dan.
What else do you say?
As we discuss continuously.
What else do you say?
And you do this just to bait me into a response.
Absolutely massive, Des!
Nothing like.
Exactly like it. I thought that was pretty good.
Absolutely nothing.
I reckon it's at least a 7 out of 10. At least.
6.
I love it earlier on when... Oh, it was actually yesterday. Demo imitated you. And I think it was Parker was like... I actually thought that was A speaking for a second.
And everybody is just doing it because they know they get a response out of me. That's what it is.
Mate,
everybody
look,
knows that I buy.
Call me the fisherman because I got this fishing line and it's reeling you back.
Everybody just knows that I bite to it because nobody does anywhere near a decent impression of my act.
You do a fish impression for me?
No.
I'll do this whole like reeling the line and thing.
No, I won't.
Oh, okay.
Round number 1, Kafe, TSM, unbeaten, 7 maps, FURIA, massive challenge ahead of them. This is...
I might say an absolutely massive challenge, Tim.
Well, you could look at it and say that it's the Beat TSM at SI 2022 knockout games challenge impossible. But FURIA making it look a little bit more possible as Geo is taken out to kick things off. It's going to be Highs who manages to find that little bit quiet last time around. As if they can get more out of him, that would be fantastic. Sheesh. And they're going to get more as he finds a kill onto Chalet. 4 versus 2 now, 4 versus 1. This is inside the first minute as TSM are being absolutely destroyed in the kitchen site. Full white flash, pressure mounts, round done inside 60 seconds.
Look at them, it's like they've just won the whole 6 Invitational with those celebrations, Tim. They're all over it. I mean, admittedly, 60 seconds all year are pushing in from like bakery side. That's going to catch anyone off guard. Like, imagine when it's your sledge player in bakery killing everyone, the guy that you expect to start on the 3rd floor, open the hatches, work your way down to the 2nd, start smashing the floor inside 90 seconds. No one expected Highs to be there then, killing 2 or 3 members of TSM and giving FURIA a brilliant first round. 4 men still left standing at the end. It was that dominant. Like I said, if you just come off playing attack really well, you have a short 5-minute break and you're attacking again, chances are your communication is on point. You're absolutely buzzed that you've won 3 rounds back-to-back in the middle of all of it. Why not try and stick it and make it work here on Kafe?
Well, I'll tell you what, there was something on point there. That much is for sure. Whether that is the last map, whether it's this one, it doesn't really matter to FURIA. They got the round on the board, and they're going to try to continue that pressure and ferocity against TSM, I would imagine. This time TSM moving to reading room, likely to try and hold on to the top floor. This one's going to be more about burning time, so I think if FURIA are going to try and bring that sort of aggression and just get in and look for kills, they're not going to get away with it the same here. Last time they were able to pretty much just go to site and just really get right up in TSM's faces to begin with, whereas here, TSM should be able to manage that a little bit further. They should be able to keep them at arm's length up on that top floor.
Hopefully so, but I know your thoughts on this top floor in general, Tim, and they aren't very popular.
Well, they're not holding the top floor.
On the site, but it's a very similar defense to what you'd see.
It's similar, but reading room
top floor
has a better win percentage more often than not for defenders.
I use this site to reference so many things across the game, like whenever I'm talking about, okay, well, you've got to go and take this kind of other site first and then attack into a second site. I always love referencing this one because, yep, it's exactly like attacking into bar and cocktail to start things off, and then you start thinking about reading on the downstairs. So it's even more steps for the attackers and gives them something to think about. I didn't quite remember seeing the stats for this map earlier on, but I'm pretty sure this, in fact, this Mining and Fireplace has got the highest defender win rate so far on this map. This site is joint, interestingly, with Bar and Cocktail, and then Kitchen has the lowest. But it's not massive margins we're talking here. We're talking a 10 to 15% swing in total.
Gio gets forced away. He's a little bit unlucky there. He took a spray out through the barricade and nearly caught the man playing on top of the air conditioning unit. Merc manages to get Fantasy, so this time TSM are able to get themselves an advantage. And as expected, Des, they've just been able to slow things down a little bit here. They're not allowing Furia to run all over them like they did last time. Fantasy just recognising the ability coming out of Merc there and giving him the nice shot as well.
Here we go, window, ooh, sees the head. Surely Bolo clocked that. I know that he's not that blind. Must have known he just ran past someone there and got himself into a reset position. Needs to be careful of the hatch, mind you. Someone can pop up there at the moment's notice and see his feet before he ever sees them. Dips back away, sat behind the shield, and is worried here about what's going on inside of Piano. Can't quite connect a shot onto Lender, who keeps himself going and is now looking to challenge down White.
Bolo just repositioning inside a site. He's going to move himself through to the fireplace, trying to hold the angle onto White stairs, just get as much of a pixel peek as he can. Lender moving down might just struggle to challenge him here. It's not going to be easy to pick him up if Bolo's still in that position, which he is. He's just waiting, but will his patience hold out? Charla's there on the cross as well. Gio's underneath. There's no way that TSM should be coming away without this kill.
They've got a three-way cross onto White stairs. It's like they know the drop's got to happen here and the stairs are going to be a main point of ingress. They're going to have to start backing away once this floor opens up. High's starting to get to work, swinging that hammer away and ripping up a few floorboards. Bolo put down towards the ground, but not taking out the round just yet. Lender coming back in for seconds, coming in for afters, you might say, Tim. But Gio's there for the support, brings him down and keeps Bolo alive.
Could potentially be picked up, but unlikely with 25 seconds left to go and being inside a site. Achieve just holding a nice position there inside a mining. Highs finds Charla. Achieve's going to have to move here to try and do something on the flank. Gio coming up the White stairs and effectively 3 versus 2 for Furia now. Diffuser going down. This is their opportunity to win this one out. Gio looking to rotate. Can't stop the man. The cover's there from Miracle. He gets Achieved. He gets the round. It's a big one for Miracle. A big one for Furia. And look at the team. They are really on it now, Des.
Just like I said, if you've had a great attack in half just a few moments ago, keep up with the attacks. TSM muted. And Furia doing enough shouting for 2 teams here as well. We can hear them all the way across the arena behind several curtains at this point. They are loving their siege right now, Tim, and it's a delight to watch.
It really is. They're exciting inside of these first 2 rounds, just finding a way there in the second. After Merc got that opener, I thought this is going to be a tough one for Furia here. They've had the sort of pace knocked out of them. They're a man down. They've got Bolo just head glitching behind the bomb there, just like, you know, a real tiny little pixel peak to make it difficult to see him. It was always going to be a tough one, but boy oh boy did they find a way.
You know what I loved him as well? It's not the usual suspects that we're talking about, right? I know Miracle's had a big 3K there and really got himself on board. Round 1, largely coming off the back of Highs with a brilliant entry play to get things underway. You've got Lender also weighing in. I know Rare hasn't been involved, but he also hasn't died yet. He's doing his job as a support. This is feeling more like a team effort than what we saw out of the attacks on the prior map, and that is worth celebrating.
Top floor it's going to be this time around, and TSM, having failed to hold down 2 of the other sites on the map, might just find that they have a tough time here as well. Going to have Charla more than likely, I think it will be, holding down. Yep, he's on the smoke. He's going to try to hold down Cigar. He's got his castle barricades. He's got his Aruni laser gates. There's plenty going on there to try and keep him in. We've seen them hold this area down for upwards of 2 minutes previously, so big question here as to whether Furia are able to break that down quicker.
Well, this time it's a bit of an E-start. Yep, wanting to try and force those out of Cocktail out of the way. Oh, Merc finding Fantasy already.
And second round consecutively.
Yeah, it's, I mean, we spoke about being Merc's now, what, 2-0 on the entry on this map?
Yeah, and both of them have been on.
He's heard Nesk is playing well, and he's like, right, get him out of the game.
Come on, we need to both get going. And Furia, they're thinking the same. They need to get themselves inside of the map. Almost a minute gone here, and they need to be pressuring Charla's position. As I said, he's done very well at wasting 2 minutes plus previously inside of Cigar, and Furia really can't afford to waste that sort of time, especially not with a man disadvantage now. Still looking to clear things out. Utility being burnt. Bolo playing on the pixel angle, but taken down. Beautiful shot from there. Nice reaction onto that corner peek coming in. Lender gets Chalet. This could be falling apart for TSM again. Achieved. He manages to put the stoppers on with a kill onto Miracle. Halfway through the round, it's 3 versus 3, and Kafe is turning into a bloodbath.
It's such a delight to watch a team move with pace and purpose as well, because FURIA started on the East Rappel. They were trying to clear things out. They lost one on the white window. They can either hang around there and keep on trying to make it work, or they can completely move over to a more standard take, getting the hatches, getting the drop inside of red, and that is what they've gone for. And so far, it has netted things back up equal to a 3 versus 3. And because they were very decisive about it, Tim, they've got so much time to play with still. There's 70 seconds on the clock here. They can take all the time in the world to get this one string together. And they even sit here, use a Gemini, get some drones through, for example. They've got 4 out in the field from Rare and Lender. Still, tons to play with, tons of time, lots of resources if they want to be using them, including the frag grenades. I'd be sweating if I were TSM.
I'd agree. Merc could come up spoiler here though as he starts to aggress through bar back storage. Needs to hope that FURIA don't push into Piano here because he could find himself flanked. They know he's there now, and that's the kill from Lender on the exact angle that I was talking about. I'm not sure if Lender's aware that there's somebody on white stairs. Rare manages to find Geo. It's all up to Achieved from that white stairs position. In at Lumber, shut down by Lender. FURIA does a 3-0 up.
Well, this is a turn of fortunes, isn't it, Tim?
Sorry, 3-0. 3-0.
3-0, 3-0, whatever you want to take it. I mean, TSM here, again, acknowledgement given to teams that do this, calling a very early tactical pause because things are not going their way. It is looking miserable so far, where even where they're finding the entry kill, they just cannot hold on to a round, or as Canadian once put it, they can't buy a round even with all of Bolo's subscribers, Tim. It's looking not so hot.
Right now, it is very, very tough for them. And as I said, FURIA are the sort of team that will just keep coming back at you. They will never give up.
I do want to give a lean towards a really special play that happened there. You called out about the angle into storage.
Yeah.
It was like on a dime in which they reacted, because the Hibana put the X-Kairos across onto that single wall at the top of Cocktail. As the Jaeger, immediately didn't spin around and look at them. He was still holding Piano, expecting someone to come pushing in. Then thinks, okay, I really got to protect my Cocktail play here. Swings around and starts spraying them off. As soon as Lender hears those bullets coming through and the frying of the X-Kairos, swings Piano, shoots the Jaeger player in the back, and that is the centerpiece, the cornerstone of that TSM 3 versus 3 removed. Just very smart team-based play there, and taking cues on what bullets am I hearing, where are they being directed, what's going on across the map, and using that to net a freebie of a kill. Just smart stuff coming out of FURIA in general, and as said, it's really refreshing seeing this pace.
It's the reaction time as well, isn't it? It's one thing understanding that that's what's happening. It's another to put that together so quickly as to think, that's a free kill for me, peek out, get it. To go from A to B to C, from hearing it to realising what's happening to reacting to it and carrying out the action. It's just so impressive from Lender. Really well played, FURIA. And they've got TSM on the run right now. There's no other way to put it. And Des, Fantasy's bringing knock along. They're even trying to up the difficulty level here.
I don't think I've ever seen a world where Fantasy has the lowest kills on the team.
So far.
So far. I mean, last map didn't start particularly high for him, don't forget. It was the ace that really got his game underway. The Lion being brought along, working absolute wonders for him. Shock horror, and LMG turns out to be pretty strong. Who'd have knew? We're attacking into that downstairs once again. Charles bringing along the Echo. My only concern here being, are you going to have time to even make use of those yokais? Because the pace at which FURIA are playing right now is breakneck. We've seen teams make good use of the yokais when people have been trying to plant with 15 seconds left. We saw it earlier on today as a good example when NIP were trying to attack. I'm just not sure TSM are going to find that opportunity, to be honest. I think FURIA will be in far too quick.
Sayona, could we just have a quick look at the rotation, please, from bakery into small bakery, just next to the castle door? Thank you very much. That is a very skinny rotate, is all I'm going to say. I don't know if that's even intended as a rotate or more.
I don't think it is, no, because of the side bits.
It cannot surely be intended as. But I think normally you'd see a rotate in there, but
yeah. So the whole idea behind this, for those who don't know, the whole idea behind the reinforcement and the armor panel is that you're really hard to press from someone inside of North Bakery. If they want to come and push you, they've either got to break off the castle barricade, not as hard a task these days, given it now takes fewer hits, or you've got to go and rotate straight through and chuck a nade over the top. But chances are they're going to see you coming in first. It makes it really hard to push through. So yes, I think it was intended to be a rotate, but it's not. Someone could get stung by that.
Exactly, it's certainly an area to keep an eye on. It could be interesting little bit of play, but the first interesting bit is going to be the knock creeping down the stairs here. Not sure that they're aware of his presence. Bolo's watching the bar in general. No, he's on the brown stairs. He knows that he's potentially creeping down. Fantasy's actually going to play his life and dip away from the time being. And he was just, I think, hoping to catch somebody out in the white corridor around the back of Freezer there, but he's not going to have any joy. He's just waiting for more information to come into him before he tries to push anywhere, and that's FURIA showing good patience. And look at this speed, Des. 1 minute 45 when that first hammer blow went down.
Oh, that sits pretty high in my ranking, Tim. That's definitely a top 5 team there for me, and it's probably a good sign for their attack overall. Lots of stuff being opened up here. Just try and restrict the defenders, force them to move away. You can see no one is playing around down here. No one around Prep, for example. They're all tucked in towards Coat, in towards Bakery. There's one behind Bar. There's one in Coffee. They're all just generally quite split up, and that single rotate worth mentioning is so they can't get a clean angle through those sledge holes they're opening up on the below. Look at this on the below. There's no Mercs inside of here. He's getting nades chucked at him. Fantasy going to strike first and find one. Instantly traded out, but an nade comes through. A Merc blown sky high.
A good start once again, and no answers really coming in from TSM. 4 versus 3. They do manage to find the knock of Fantasy, but the damage is largely done. I think we're going to get a... Oh, Charlie, why are you teasing me? I want to see if you can get through it.
He can't do it. It's stuck. He's just realised.
He
could impact it and get it open fully, but then they'd know he's there, so he's kind of stuck.
It could be a problem. He certainly looked like he wanted to have a look down the red corridor there, but will not be able to. And the vertical pressure is really mounting here. Lender takes a ton of damage, though, and Achieve could play spoiler if the drop comes in from the hatch. Geo's watching it as well, so they are dropping into a potential bloodbath here. Down goes the first, trying to get into sight. Charla has that lockdown. TSM, they're looking pretty solid here, Des. 3 versus 2 now as they find 2 kills. Diffuser down, Cold, Lender low health. Can he? No, they're not going to be able to do this. Looks to try and get in from the door, traded by Charla, and TSM, after that tactical timeout, managed to lock down their first defensive round.
All that really came down to, I think it was Achieve playing on the wall into Freezer, right?
Yes.
With the shotgun. Yeah, in most cases, you can't do that. The most you can rely on is chucking smoke canisters inside. Maybe you catch someone on their initial drop through the hatch, which is why people will drop on the north side of the hatch. But because he took a risk and said, look, they aren't going to push down white stairs, I'm going to play right up against this wall with a shotgun in hand and kill you as you come for the drop. It was very aggressive from him, and you know, I will speak about teams wanting to take more risk kind of in general. The risk versus reward payoff is absolutely huge for him. Finding 2 kills on the initial drop, a 3rd with the SMG not too long after, gets the shutdown, and FURIA, with a momentary lapse of attention, do pay the price.
Righty, so we go into round number 5. TSM, they're on the comeback trail, Des. They've managed to get one. Can they get more? They had a complete failure of their defensive rotation. Kitchen, Reading, Bar were all shut down by FURIA. They've managed to go back and right at least one of those wrongs. Locking down Kitchen and moving now back up to Reading. Can they do the same again here? That is the question. FURIA last time able to win this on gunfights. They're going to be looking for the same again, I'm sure. TSM, got to do better. They had that 3-way cross on white stairs last time that FURIA managed to unpick.
That's it. Oh, full lock in here as well. Now, if this happened in ranked, you'd probably be screaming at your teammates, why no rotate? But the reason why it's going on here is because all they really care about is this bastion they've set up inside of storage. I want to say we saw them do this the other day against NIP. I think at the time we clocked it and said, look, it's really hard to break into here. It's electrified. There's an armor panel they've reinforced off bathroom. It does mean you can't have that support on the south side and you can't challenge into Piano itself. But the general idea is that you're just not going to give them any control of that top floor. If they want to get control of storage, they're really going to have to fight tooth and nail for it.
Certainly are. Fantasy, once again, moving himself up the brown stairs, as I'm not sure, again, how aware TSM are of his presence. Fantasy has been playing a very sneaky little game so far, and given an opportunity, we know the damage that he can do. He's on the Finker this time, so has nades as well. Bolo's just going to be holding the angle on that corridor, but not really in a position to challenge where Fantasy is likely to head, because I think he's keen to get himself into trains here and maybe pressure into dining as well. But he's showing a lot of restraint, as he has done previously, and he's just waiting for his team to get established, and he's waiting for his moment to attack.
That's it. I mean, no rush, right? It's only 60 seconds in the round, Tim. Imagine if it was the final 30 and we were at that point. It's probably how you'd feel casting a couple of other teams in this competition. But for FURIA, this is still fantastic pace, and they should have no concerns at all. Their early drone work really enables this kind of thing, and there it is. Fantasy striking up big, just playing the patient game and getting one for himself. Merc strikes back onto Miracle elsewhere, so it does come down to that 4v4 once again. It's okay, I'd say. No C4 being expended as well by Achieve means that is lost to the Void.
TSM have done a really good job of trading kills out, and Bolo actually manages to find Fantasy as well and give them the advantage back 4 versus 3 now. And FURIA just struggling a little bit to find TSM. They've certainly kept themselves under wraps a bit better. I think we saw Merc actually air jabbed into the freezer. He came out and cleared it off, and he's going to be able to have some free movement there. Highs is trying to challenge White Stairs in a bid to get anything going for FURIA here, but as you can see, Lender ahead of him, not really able to push forward too aggressively. Moves round, he's going to be separated by a Geo, from Geo by a wall rather. And
oh, that's not easy.
Easy as that. Merc manages to find the kill, and that is now going to be 4 versus 1 as he gets himself another 3 on the round, 4 on the round. Merc unstoppable, and the TSM revolution continues here on Kafe as they manage to find 2 after that initial FURIA onslaught. TSM right back in it.
That hold is one that FURIA essentially completely ignored inside of storage. He had the one rotate coming out, and the right bar door was also left open, but the chance of anyone charging through that was basically nil. They had the bulletproof camera set up inside a cocktail looking across bar to give him an early warning system if that were to be the case. So the only real angle you've got is to play from below. Below is the site. That's simply not going to happen. You could get control of White and look to open it up from inside a bathroom, but then you're attacking through a very narrow funnel. It's just super hard to attack into, and I understand why FURIA really struggled there, to be fair, but Lender stepping in and looking towards Cocktail, they should have known Merc was still sat inside of that room. He hadn't moved for the longest time. They knew that he ran into the air jab, for example, and he makes them pay the price. Just, again, a small oversight coming out from FURIA, the same in the last round with White Stairs when attacking downstairs. This round it was forgetting that Merc was still sat inside of storage.
Bar and cocktail it will be. We saw it in round 3. FURIA were able to get the win, but it was the last of their win streak. We saw the tactical timeout come afterwards. TSM have repeated and are looking to completely absolve themselves of them early mistakes. They are now facing a 3-3 half, which didn't look very likely after the first few rounds, but they do need to hold on to what I will still say can be a difficult top floor. Now, interestingly, look at all those holes that we've got opened up by a Rooney there, just looking down to the lower level. So I would expect to see somebody from TSM playing underneath, looking to use them.
This one is the golden C4 on that far left side.
Straight into Cigar.
You know it. We've seen it a good couple of times where someone will just play with that C4 sat below. They hear of someone inside a cocktail. They see it on a bulletproof, whatever it might be, of which they do, of course, have one on side. That was in the back pocket of Geo. I'm not quite sure exactly where they've placed it, but if it's sat in the right spot, it could be a freebie if they get in the right position. Right now, no one is looking to do that. Maybe it's more the fear factor of what if there is someone there? Because Bolo is sat on Pixel, does have the C4 in back pocket, and that is only one of 2 that the team have achieved, pocketing the other one.
Merc likely to be able to find an angle, to be fair. He's down there with the Jaeger. I'm not sure if the train in the middle of the room might just get in the way of him being able to get far enough back to actually reach the angle through the floor. But for now, it's not going to matter because he's going to head himself back upstairs. But there could be a little crossover. No, Bolo's back into bathroom. This is the position that we've seen him holding down a number of times. He's going to continue to try and do the same here. We saw NIP struggle to move him from this location. Didn't have the nades on hand to be able to scare him away, and if you give him the opportunity, he's going to stay here and he's going to make a nuisance of himself and make it very difficult for you to get inside a piano. But miracle. He's creeping into side, Des. He's going to air jab it off. He's looking to get aggressive. He's going in right now and getting the plant down. Is the cover in place? I'm not convinced that it is, but I'm not sure that TSM know what's going on. FURIA! No, it's been stopped. Chalet in the absolute nick of time, Des, manages to prevent that diffuser going down, and that is huge from TSM.
There's still more time to play with, mind you, but now TSM know where the diffuser is. They can just play around it. You got Lender, who was looking to try and play on the below. Grenades in hand. If you can finish off Geo, that'll be a great start. There it is. The nade from below. There's still one more inside a cocktail, mind you, achieved. Down to about half HP. Another nade from below. 2 coming in one round for FURIA. A great start with Fancy hitting the deck. Lender going absolutely nuclear this round, 3 to his name, and gets the 4th as well. A big shutout in that round to end the half, 4-2.
What a round, my nerves are in tatters, Des. There were so many twists in that tail, you just couldn't see where it was going to end. Diffusers down, no it's not, grenades are in, kills are coming. It was absolutely unbelievable siege entertainment there in round 6. The half is closed out with FURIA in the lead, and if they can lock this down on defense, Des, we're going to go into a third map, and I'd love to see it between these two teams with the way they're playing at the minute.
And Oregon, I kind of said, you know, a little bit nervous about that for TSM, not one of their more popular maps, so FURIA might just find a way to unsettle one of the American teams. We'll find out, no doubt, if we get to that stage. TSM going on to the attacking side here. I always say again, give it to the half and see what happens in the first couple of rounds, because as we saw on the last map, you can't count a team out even when they're down 5-1. They can still battle their way back in. We saw it earlier on, out of NIP. There's every possibility that TSM could fight their way back into this. But right now, FURIA just full of beats.
Little spoiler coming up for you. If you don't want to hear the result of the other game, I will give you a couple of seconds whilst I'm sort of talking through this. You know it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. We believe Team Liquid have beaten FaZe 2-0 in map. Strong performance coming out of Liquid, and just adding more and more weight to the claims that they could be on for their first ever Invitational title.
What a journey that would be as well. I know lots of people like personally are back in like Paolo, especially to get a win. Rated #1 player coming into SI.
Imagine Nesk never winning the Invitational.
It's just, you can't imagine it, can you?
It's just, no, wrong. It's not right.
It's wrong. Although the nervousness around that team is, you know, Ask and Resets, the two newer players who plays Moringa and Sexy Cake are a little less experienced, 18 and 19 years old, I believe.
Going pretty well, though.
I mean, to be fair, imagine being 18, 19 years old, joining Team Liquid after, I think it was Resets came from like an academy team somewhere as well. Yep. Stepping up and winning SI at your first swing of the bat. Imagine.
There's a lot of work.
Real.
There's a lot of work for them to do yet.
There are two generations of Siege players there, basically. Yes. Who could win SI. It'd be insane.
Fantasy gets Merc, Des.
Yeah,
Fantasy
I mean, look,
gets Merc. It's happening.
He started slow in this game, but now he's already starting to wake up. And Merc, who's been prolific on the entry, shut down very early on. That'll take a lot of the sting out of the tail from TSM. FURIA should sleep a little bit more comfortably at night.
Well, the problem is as well, it really hurts that top floor push. So now FURIA start getting a little bit more comfortable about staying up here. If Fantasy gets another, then there's not much of an option but for TSM to start thinking about pushing towards site. Fantasy is going to dip away for the time being, so this is good for TSM. They've got Bolo and Achieved up there, and they are starting to move players around. Fantasy and Lender both on the underneath now. There's just one player left over in Cocktail to be cleared out. It's Highs, and he needs to hold on for as long as possible. It sounds like we're just going to have him, I was going to say the Hibana pellets were going to start raining in to try and open things up, but he's going to drop before he gets to that point. Now then, FURIA, they've got quite a while to hold on here. They've got a minute left, man advantage, but TSM can start working from above, and Achieved is still alive on that sledge.
He is, but how much damage can he really do against a team that seems a little more proactive in dealing with these threats? I mentioned earlier on that his favourite game was Minesweeper, very rarely being caught out by a C4, but don't count out what can happen here. I mean, admittedly in this round nothing will happen because the C4s are already gone. The only one was in the back pocket of Rare. So the main threat now exists in Lender with the smoke or in towards those Yokais from Miracle that are both out scattered in the map.
One has dropped for TSM. It's going to be Bolo on the underneath, just following those yellow pings. Looks to make a challenge into Trains. Does a ton of damage but won't find the kill. Instead manages to find Fantasy. And that is Geo in and planting. They've got the vertical control. There's very little FURIA can do about this. Charla's on the cover, and as he tries to push in, it's all turning around, Des. I did not expect that. 2 kills from FURIA now. 2v4 successful plant, but it's up to Bolo on a fraction of health. Rare's already disabling. This is done, Des. FURIA have managed to get round 7. It's 5-2.
Unbelievable how they managed to pull it off as well. We saw the diffuser going down and thought, 4 versus 4. There's just no way they can swing this one back, and they find 2 kills out of nowhere, even with the reverse angles working against them. Beautiful stuff. Really,
honestly, I still don't know. I'm going to have to watch it back. I still don't know how they got them 2 kills.
Lender got the flank because where it was then sat above the hatch inside a cocktail was so focused on the door. Lender got above. Right. I think he came up through bar and that was it.
I missed it. I was just so focused on, like you say, 4v4 plants going down. Yeah. Like, let's try and catch where everybody is. That Lender just slipped through the net. Absolutely unreal from FURIA. They are coming out with a masterclass on Kafe at the minute, and TSM are reeling. They don't know how to respond to this, Des. We are seeing them put under some serious pressure.
That's what I think it is, right? The pressure's just building up so strong at this point that momentum is really, really against them. They can't call that timeout. They took it at 3-0. They're just going along on FURIA's wild ride right now and cannot find anything. Not a single player. Well, I guess you could argue Merc, but no one on the team is really positive when it comes to KD. That's just how little they're being able to achieve in this game with the rampage that FURIA are on. Almost all of them outside of Rare and Fantasy, both being positive so far in the game. But it's Lender, again, that I do really want to appreciate. I once termed him Lender the Human Blender, and he is stepping up today and mincing TSM.
Thing is, in BR6, Lender puts up some great stats. You know, he can really hit shots, big fragger, and coming into the tournament talking about FURIA, I said we maybe need to see him stepping up as that second string to Fantasy. You know, that's who we need to start delivering some frags. And look at what happens when he does. Fantasy's been quiet, but it doesn't matter because Lender is doing the business. Simple as that. They're going to be defending this time mining and dining room. So they are locking down that middle floor. Obviously confident that they can do a little bit more of the same. They've got a top floor presence again, not quite as pronounced this time around, but there are the Capcan traps from Rare up there to try and slow that progress again from TSM. FURIA now just wanting to take the sting out of that attacking push as much as they can, I think.
Yeah, I mean, last time around it was Merc who was the opening death, right? And we said then the sting in the tail has been removed. They've been slowed down a little. Kind of touched a bit on the C4 count in the last round, only being 1. Here, there are 3. So many tools they can play behind here to find kills and arguably have the information to supply it as well, as Evil Eye is going to go a long way towards doing that. For now, at least, it's still the contest up on the top floor. There's one hanging up on the east window here, which might put Lender under a little bit of fire, but it's all too aware about it. If they can hold this for that little bit longer, even another 30 seconds or so, they'll have wasted about 2 minutes of TSM's clock, and that's not ideal.
Surely not. Fantasy gets the opener onto Bolo, ripping him off the rappel, and what a start for FURIA. 5 versus 4 now, and they are looking good here inside of round number 8. Fantasy's going to dip away, he's going to play his life, he's not going to overstay his welcome on that top floor. The clearance continues for TSM, but they still don't really have confident control. The top floor is theirs at this point, but I don't know how much they know it. They're still creeping towards Cocktail. I think they're worried that Fantasy could still be out there.
Absolutely. Oh, a second one as well is achieved. Hits the deck. Not completely out of it, but not looking too healthy either. How's the C4 getting ripped in from below? There still remains 1 in the back pocket of Lender, so untold damage still to come from that potentially as the round steps forward a bit further. We're in those final 60 seconds or so here. Tim Achieved is doing his work, swinging that hammer around. Quite clearly could not dodge that mine this time round. Wants to get back on the minesweeper for a couple of hours, but he's back on his feet, not quite finished off.
Achieved doing the work that he can, but he's on low health. It's not going to take much. He needs to be very careful about those angles he's opening up. Lender nearly gets 1. Bolo just going a little bit of a wide swing there. Sorry, it was actually Merc on the Zafia. A little bit of a wide swing. Lender finds Charla. Lender won't be stopped. Miracle onto Achieved. TSM, they are struggling to find anything. Merc with a skinny angle onto Lender, but 14 seconds left to go. It's all up to him and Gio to try and get themselves into sight, and Rare, he's just playing prone here, but they won't even get that far, Des, as Highs finds them both, chewing through them with the Elder and spitting them out.
6-2 the scoreline sits at. Tim, it's feeling very reminiscent of what we had back on Chalet. We were at this exact same scoreline, 6-2 to TSM, and then it all turned around with the introduction of Lion and Akabe. We're not going to see that coming out of TSM. They're sticking by their guns here in what they've brought along so far. But it's very clear what they've been doing so far simply is not working.
A lot of opening kills for Fantasy. I count at least 4 so far. He might not have the most frags on the board this game. He may be struggling overall in those terms, but when 4 out of the 5 are entries, that's giving your team that boost, that 5v4 round over and over and over again. So do not discount Fantasy's efforts here on Kafe just because he's lagging behind a little bit compared to his normal frags. He's having a real game here, as is the Lender. Round number 9, Des. It's 6-2 for FURIA, and I don't think anybody realistically expected this on Kafe. I know that Jesse spoke about it on the analyst desk coming in, how TSM had 7 unbeaten coming into this point on Kafe. It's looking like they might just take the first L for a little while on Kafe.
We were talking about this for Sandbox and M&M, who were both 9-0 and 4-0 respectively on this map. Seems to be the map where teams collect sprees by the looks of it, Tim. Don't know why, maybe it's because it's one of those less popular maps where specific teams will play it, really play it as well, know how to play it to the nth degree, and there are just surprising teams here that simply aren't prepared to go onto it. I'm not sure, but let's see how round 9 plays out for now. Underway already, and as said before, FURIA are no slouches. They like to keep TSM busy here, keep them around the map guessing as to what the hell's actually going on. For the most part, they all sat on the downstairs expecting a lateral take. You got one sat inside a coat check. So for TSM, top floor's going to be fine, but it doesn't mean they know it's going to be fine.
No, that's it. It's still going to take them a minute or so to get in there with the drones. Yep, we think it's clear. Let's get some boots on the ground. They've got the top floor. The mid floor will follow pretty quickly after. I would expect them to be ahead of the game in terms of time on the clock, but they're still going to have a lot of work to do even when they do get that mid floor. They've got to start moving defenders around, particularly the one playing inside of VIP, if they're going to look for a freezer-sided push. We saw earlier how great an impact that player can have from that position. It was actually Achieved who was playing there, and he just really locked down that freezer-sided hold, so they need to make sure that they get that clear, and I'm sure TSM are going to understand that.
This could be cheeky. They're looking for a potential C4 up towards the hatch, then not a bad shout. You do, of course, need to find Geo stepping into the room first to look at getting these opened up. But diligent as ever, TSM are getting on the drones first and foremost. Bolo's there being shot out, but they were aware no one was actually inside of the site itself. So a good dip away, actually, by the Kaid, who still may not be known here.
Fantasy still looking for it. He's just watching where the hammer's swinging. Not going to have any joy there.
Let's tickle him.
Sledge have Achieved had just managed to back out, like you say, a little more than a tickle. Fantasy drops away into the other side of sight, but he manages to find the kill, Des. He gets a long angle onto Achieved, and he gets another! The audacity! Just being peppered with bullets, but still hits the reverse headshot. Fantasy will not be stopped, and nor will FURIA. 5 versus 3 now. Lender nearly finds himself another Merc, taking a lot less damage, though, and still in the fight.
Looking to himself there potentially to walk away as the loser in that engagement. Lender is down to a slither of HP, but Rare finds another. Bolo's put down. Map 3 beckons. Oregon will be the battleground that decides the winner in this game, assuming, of course, Merc and Chalet can't somehow pull off a miracle and send us into yet another round. But Tim, the shots being hit by Fantasy, by Miracle, by all the guys on this team have been miraculous the whole way through. Fantasy taking a challenge. We're on the back door. The pistol comes out to a triple. Can't find the fourth, but Miracle's there waiting. We're going all the way to 3, Tim.
Oh, are we? And it is everything that we had hoped for from this game. A big performance out of TSM on map 1. A big performance out of FURIA on map 2. And we're going to see these two continue to battle it out. And who will come out victorious on Oregon? Well, the upper bracket continues for them, and the loser will drop down to the lower bracket. But I tell you what, there's a very different picture between that FURIA team and TSM team right now, Des.
It's crazy how momentum can swing so much in a series, and the thing is, that momentum for FURIA was built on a map they lost. We spoke about coming in, okay, it's weird that you pick to attack on Kafe knowing it's TSM's map, but the momentum they built in the second half of Chalet, rolling round after round after round on attack, you could see it, they were buzzed. It was like they were winning SI with the way they were reacting after every single round, and it carried through into Kafe. Beautiful stuff.
Absolutely nail-biting stuff. This is some of the best siege that we've seen so far. I can't wipe the smile off my face because I just want to get back to this one. Like, give me more.
Get a load of this guy, Mr. Latam himself celebrating it. But like you say, it's all about...
I don't care who wins. Like, this is just so good.
It has been phenomenal all the way through. You know, we know, map 3 is going to deliver. Back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the B stream, and
very excited.
I can't go any faster.
Very excited.
I'm knackered after that already. God. Well, I don't know what else to be knackered.
Well, you're going to be worn out in about an hour.
These players in this game, they've been going at it now for a couple of hours, and we're going into Oregon as our third and final map. TSM started out wiping the floor with FURIA back on Chalet, then picked it up in the second half, had some really good attacks. Surprised us all by starting on attack on Kafe and wiped the floor with TSM the whole way through on TSM's map pick, which is why stepping into Oregon is going to be so spicy. 5-2 on the entry, Tim, for your boy Fantasy. 8 of his kills coming in from that's ridiculous.
5 out of 8 kills coming in on the entry.
That can't be right.
It is. I'd 4 of them.
No. The entries are right, but the total kills feels like behind.
No, it was. No, it was. He had at the point he had 5 kills and 4 of them were entries, and that was in like round 6 or something. It really was.
His ace was on Chalet.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, he's just. Like I say, yes, his numbers might not have been what they always are, but it just doesn't matter because 5 out of 9 rounds, he's given them the advantage.
4 players on TSM below 1.0 rating, Rare the lowest at 1.01, and he was only 3-2. Didn't have to do anything in that game, really, but when he was required, did the work. The whole team did collectively. A brilliant map overall for FURIA, which now begs a big question about Oregon. We all came into this series and would have said after probably 7 or 8 rounds, yeah, TSM probably can 2-0 this. Now we're at a point where I think many are going to be backing FURIA and saying they're the ones that can win Oregon and continue through the upper bracket.
Well, the thing is, like, FURIA have calmed down now and, you know, they're back in.
Nah, they have not.
They're in the seats, they're ready to go. But after that match, they were up, they were screaming, they were cheering, they were patting each other on the back, they were going absolutely mad. By contrast, TSM, they look down, Des, and they will do. They've just had their map taken away from them, and that could have a big factor coming in here. It might take TSM a couple of rounds to just get back up to speed.
I think it's really cute, by the way. For those who don't know, all these kind of map blueprints came from SternUp. He worked with a guy called Badger to produce them all, and every single team has the sheets where they use them now. I think it's really cute as a thing that, you know, God bless you, SternUp, if you're watching, by the way, putting all these out there to free for the community, so much so that even pro teams are now using them as well for all their strats. And you look at it and think, oh, the pro teams should be able to remember these strats. There's a lot of maps. There's 4 sites per map. There are potentially any endless number of setups per site that you can do as well. It's good just to jog the memory. You know, they will have dry ran them, they'll have scrimmed them as well, no doubt. But just a way to make sure we're not forgetting any small details.
We are seconds away at this point from heading into this one, and I cannot wait. It's going to be so good. Oregon, I'm not sure who's starting on the attack. Do we know, Des?
I'll wait for one of the observers to tell me. I'll just stand here until Sona tells me.
FURIA will start on the attack. What do you make of that?
We've already spoke about their pace. My only concern here is these sites are arguably a bit harder. Looking down towards, say, basement. It's not the easiest in the world to attack it. It's very rare that you can just charge down and frag out and kill everyone. Doesn't really tend to work that way. It needs to be a bit more coordinated. You need frag grenades. You need to make sure you've got different areas cleared out. Walls opened up. There's just loads of things you have to consider to actually attack it. Top floor a little bit less so. You can get a bit more aggressive up there if you want to and just go for it, jump in through a double window. Just frag out, right? Downstairs could be different, so TSM could catch them off guard a bit here and just slow things down.
I think you're right. I think it could suit TSM to start on the defense here, just have a chance to just sort of steady the ship a little bit. You know, be able to use those strengths.
They'll definitely try, Tim, is the only way to describe it.
FURIA are quite a stormy sea to try and steady yourself in, Des. That's what I would say.
I'm all aboard FURIA's rocket ship, Tim. Let's ride it to the moon.
That certainly looks like where it's going at the minute. They have come back so strong after that first map on Chalet. Kafe just looked like a different team. Let's see which one turns up here for both of these two organisations. FURIA versus TSM. We are one map all. We are heading into Oregon, and we are looking at a potential classic here showing down between these two. Capitao and Ying, talk to me. me, Des.
Oh, that's just all about the executes, and you look at that and just think, right, smokes on Capital, smokes on Ying, the Candelas, the Firebolts, everything is designed there to make attacking incredibly easy, at least where it comes to the executes. Those two being taken off the board is going to make it much harder to crack the eggshell of the basement. Mira makes it a little bit harder to defend as well. Imagine our last ban is going to be something like a Valkyrie. We spoke about it all week long and how powerful it is. Sure enough, off the board she goes. But I love that Capital and Ying ban. I think it's really focused, really targeted in towards executes, especially in the basement. You might still see smokes being brought by like Twitch, for example, but these two being away, again, two of the best executing operators in the game, no longer available.
Right, Des, let's get into it. Round one. We're going to be heading...
Can we do the hand thing again?
We can do the hand thing again.
Ready?
Yep. There we go, we're ready. We are ready. Me and Des are all ready. Hot, we are ready to go. And we're going to be going down to Laundry. We've had 2 maps to warm us up to this point, and there is no cooling down here, Des. There is no taking your foot off the accelerator. This one, as you say, is going all the way.
I'm glad it's like 3 degrees outside, mate, because we're going to need somewhere just to go and chill out.
To be fair, it was snowing when we came in this
It was.
So who knows, we might get out there to a nice sort of white canvas to really cool us down.
And I love it. Tim, what did they slap TSM about with on Chalet attacks? What were the 2 ops that really changed the game for them?
Lion and Dokkaebi, Des.
Yes, they were. What have they got inside here?
They've got the Dokkaebi.
And what's that at the top of your screen, Tim?
That's a Jackal.
Yes, it is, Tim. 10 points to you. These 2 operators are designed for very much the same purpose as you saw before. That Jackal to deal with the real... No. How can you really describe him? Frustrating roamers is the best and nicest way to put it. If you're attacking on the top floor and someone's in basement using it as their personal playpen, a Lion isn't really going to cut the mustard. You need something a little bit better than that. And Jackal, far more focused at chasing down those roamers. On this site in particular, I was about to say I wouldn't be surprised if TSM only play on site, and then we've got Geo and Achieve both on top floor. Okay, let's see. They've got bulletproofs up there as well to support inside of the big tower. So clearly there is some intent to do something up there.
They've gone back.
Didn't they put a bulletproof down in big tower? Can we look at the big tower on the right-hand wall? I swear we saw Achieve put one down or do something. Maybe he was just drone hunting. No, never mind.
Possibly, yeah. No gadgets over there.
Oh, okay.
We've seen them both pop. There you go. There's your answer. Geo's going to place it down in the basement at pillars, and that's going to look on towards bunker door. So it's just going to tell them, and through electrical as well. So it'll get a little bit of information from different locations depending on the stage of the game. Fantasy's in there already, Des. He's chasing down here.
Awesome. Very
selective on the footprint. This one was yellow, but it just flicked to green as he went for the scan on it, I think. So that's going to give him the position of Geo for the time being, who was the one who had rotated through Attic. It's not really going to tell him too much. Merc going for a cheeky nitro there, really long-arming it out of the door. Rare, he's going to take a tickle of damage, but not too much. And that is just going to set FURIA behind a little bit, just maybe slow them down.
I love it. Just the fact that you're trying to be aggressive and stop FURIA, slow them down, given their pace is never a bad thing, but FURIA looking largely unfazed by not getting on the drones, not slowing things down, just leaving Merc to his own devices, really, and they're already charging their way through here. Merc set down towards the laundry side of things whilst these hatches are being opened up. So he has dialed back down all 5 members on site in this wonderful kind of pentagon shape that you can see here starting to form. Now Merc, you're just breaking the perfect shape, mate. Please, go back.
Fantasy's already pushing down into Freezer. Bolo's going to try to aggress forward a little bit just so he can get that Wamai Magnet out there. He's got his shield to play in behind as well. Needs to be careful because it is the Vulcan shield, so if it is exploded, flames will spill out and will damage him as well. Wow, Miracle's gone for the hatch drop. He's been shut down by Bolo, who was well alert to that. Nade comes in to take the shield out. Bolo's position now a little bit more perilous, but a good start for TSM.
Massively so, yeah. I was going to say TSM employed a really sweaty angle the other day. Oh, but Fantasy rolls up and gets 2. Off on highway by himself, hides into a 3rd, and TSM have crumbled again. The pace, the presence, the pressure out of FURIA just too hard to match. Achieve left alone, gets swung on. It's round 1 to FURIA.
There is no stopping the Brazilians right now. They just flood into sight despite losing Miracle to Bolo. It just doesn't even break their stride. TSM just looking broken at the minute, Des. There's silence amongst the team. They just don't seem to have an answer to this ferocity of FURIA.
They just didn't have any idea what was going on in Deep Freezer. Once Bolo got... Yeah, we can hear the cheering from all the way over here. Still, even as the round is starting to get underway. What we had there really was the shield blown away. I can still hear him. Please, guys, there's a game to play. I'm living for it. The shield got blown out in highway, and Bowler then was forced to step back. For a brief second, I mean, really, Merc should have probably had eyes on it on the cross, but was probably too worried about what was going on in Laundry to step across. So no one had insight into what Freezer was doing for the next, like, 5 seconds or so. And what do? Furia? They aren't a team to sit down and drone it out and make sure it's safe. No, 2 members just charge for that north door, completely blindside TSM, rip Bolo out of highway, and the whole thing just falls apart from there. Again, Furia see an opportunity, and they take an opportunity. The same way Lender did to when they had, I think it was Merc playing on the Jaeger inside of storage, and he spun around to shoot out some ex-Kairos. They just charged at him. This team are not afraid of taking a risk. They will take any gunfight if they think there is even a slither of a chance they'll get the win.
That's the danger with a team like Furia. The confidence is up now. They've won those tough fights, and they now believe that they're going to win more of them. And this is the problem in Siege. Often if you go in with confidence, you're the one that wins the gunfight, and that's the reality. They're over in a fraction of a second sometimes, and that's what we're seeing at the minute. But come on, TSM, enough's enough now. It's time to get yourself back into this. They've lost a lot of consecutive rounds, and this is not going to be easy. They need to just knuckle down and get themselves on the board. No matter how they win the round, I've said this about championship winning teams before, Des, you've got to be able to win ugly. And right now, they are struggling. Fantasy takes down Bolo to start us off, and it is once again advantage Furia.
I love how they were already shouting there just from getting the entry onto Bolo as well. Massive achieve from top of green, finds one back onto Fantasy and shuts down the lethal machine of Furia. Now 4 versus 4, things can settle, but only for a few seconds, Tim, because we know Furia are already thinking about the next gunfight.
They certainly are. Merc, he's going to try and hold down the attic for the time being. He knows that the Maverick's there. He's just going to signal it out. Pretty standard work coming in from highs. He's going to open up a peak line, a grenade line, and then he's going to open up an entrance on the right-hand side behind the cover. But Merc is well aware that that's going on. Lender has aggressed up into Trophy here, though, and they need to be careful inside a sight about their rotations. They should know, though, because Charla should have spotted that out from behind the shield. As you say, Furia need to be clearing that out. They're halfway through the round. It's 4 versus 4, and TSM are okay at the minute. Achieved all the way down in the basement, and I'm not sure Furia have got a handle on his location.
Well, why wouldn't you, right? You killed the Jackal early. He was the anti-Roma setup for this team to deal with the sort of stuff that Achieved is looking to do. I mentioned about him disappearing into Narnia in the basement. They're making full use of that now the Jackal's off board, so very smart stuff. The Goyo shield has been popped away here. Final 60 seconds we start stepping towards. Highs is looking to find a way to get inside a pit, because there is still Merc looking to swing onto him. If they remove Merc, they remove a lot of this defense, and there's now 3 of them all trying to press onto 1 man.
That's it. They know that he is the sticking point right now. Achieved is still holding his position. There's 45 seconds left to go, and he's just waiting for the perfect moment. The drone not really going to gain Fury or anything, because they are well aware of Merc and what he is doing. Lender trying to move around, but he just can't get any freedom from Charla in behind those bunks, and it's just making life a bit of a misery. I think it's actually Geo over there on the castle. Charla's inside of the other domes. Rare manages to get Charla. Merc onto Rare for the trade. 3v3, 20 seconds left to go. Merc finds another, and my question is now, how does this end? Achieved is down. It's 2v2. It's 15 seconds. Who can win the gunfights? It's Furia right now, Des. 2v1, 1v1 effectively. Geo versus Highs. 8 seconds left to go. He takes out the man who's actually doesn't see him on the backside, and Geo scraps hard tooth and nail to get around for TSM, and that could just change the tide for the North Americans.
You'd hope so, Tim, because they haven't got a lot to go on at the minute. It's still looking a little bit dicey. Furia aren't going to be rattled by a single round loss. And you can even see in a couple of the faces of the TSM players a little bit forlorn there. They know the momentum is working against them really heavily here. And if not for the clock, that could have been a much closer affair. We head back down into the basement once more. TSM confident they can correct the woes of round 1. Just to recap again, they didn't stop the players from charging into Deep Freeze, pushing into Highway, and killing 2 members of TSM that basically ended the round there and then. If they can get this right this time round, good. We've then got 2 rounds back to back. The recovery effort begins, and my God, TSM need a lifeline right now.
They certainly do. Like you say, maybe that was it, Des. Maybe that is the log in the torrent of a river that they currently find themselves, that they can grasp onto, that might just be able to get them to the side safely so they can get steady on their feet and really start to fight to their full capability here, because we haven't seen it over the last few rounds and we want to. We want to see TSM coming at this full force now. FURIA as well. Neither of them giving any quarter to the other, and neither will desire it, of course. 1-1 on the scoreboard. We're heading downstairs. It's going to be laundry and supply this time. FURIA were able to win it in round 1. It all came after the hatch drop from Miracle. Bolo got the kill onto him, but it just didn't matter. It took TSM's eye off the ball, and FURIA were able to flood in and just wash over them and get the kills. This time, TSM, they need to make sure that they don't give that kind of site access to FURIA.
No. The more the freezer control was the big issue, to be honest. Again, just not letting them slip through those couple of key locations will be the way to take yourself a win. With no Jackal on side, I don't know if they'll have clocked it yet because Fantasy hasn't been rolling out with those Roteros, but once they get moving, they can then probably start doing a little bit of quick maths and understand there's a very good chance there is not a Jackal on side this time, and they can make good use of a roam. No use, of course, if they are already all on site, which they are, but you might find Achieve looking to pop his way up big tower stairs, for example, deal with a flank drone, and then go on a little adventure to try and find a couple of members of FURIA in the backside whilst they're trying to work on the lobby and Freezer's side, which appears to be, for now at least, where they want to start.
They're going to get the hatches open, should give them access into Freezer. Bolo is playing in there, just looking to peek around the lockers, and he's actually just moved back into Highway, but he's got his angles through, he's got his shield still in place. Cautious of playing too close to it, of course, as I've said previously, it's the Goyo Vulcan shield, so damage will be done if it does explode around him. That's one of those cleared out with a Rotero drone. Rare just darting in as well, taking further utility out with the Twitch drone. I think he's going to lose that one to Chala as he darts through the drone hole there. Merc just trying to hold on to the bottom of Laundry Stairs. He knows that there's attention coming and a push in that direction, but FURIA may be getting ahead of themselves here, pushing too close to the bottom of those stairs. Lender lucky not to lose his life. They're not ready in Freezer yet, Des. They need to coordinate this push.
That is so mental that he's literally sat on 1 HP. Fancy doing as he did last time around and looking to push up quite deep inside here. Force the players back. Bolo this time is inside of Freezer, mind you, so he should be able to contest a much better angle. Round comes the drone, easily taken out, and they really wanted to remove a shield that might have been present inside a Highway, but this time round there isn't wanted. They've backed away a little bit deeper here and have dug in, ready for the assault to begin.
TSM looking much, much stronger here, and there we go. Bolo with an opener. Merc doubles down and gets 2 and 3. Achieve finds 1, and it's all up to Rare. Shut down in a heartbeat as TSM are back, and we see a little bit of relief on those faces. You can see the pressure lifting on these players. They're sitting up a little bit straighter, Des. They're looking a little bit sharper, and TSM, they are back and fighting.
This is where we might start having a game on our hands, Tim. So often we do. This one, as you called at the very start of the series, could turn into one of the greats here at SI. You know, imagine if these teams, you know, the loser drops down to lower bracket, fights their way all through that and comes back to meet each other again towards the later stages of the tournament. Oh, what a dream that would be to witness.
Absolutely unreal. This is the second time that we've seen these two teams meet up, and luckily for Des and I, it's the second time that we've cast this game. We were honoured enough to do the first one, and it was a close game. It was 2-0 to TSM that time around. FURIA weren't able to find that map win, but both of them were close. One of them going to overtime.
7-5, 8-6, yeah.
Yep, exactly that. Whereas this time, FURIA, they managed to find that extra yard. They managed to find that extra little bit that they needed to get that map, and they take us all the way to 3, and it's being hard fought at the minute. We would expect TSM to have the better half here on the defence of Oregon, generally speaking. FURIA, if they can find another 2 rounds, I think they will see that as a real opportunity.
Whew, okay. I can't believe I'm saying this, but TSM with 2 successful rounds in a row. It's been a long time since we said those words. Now find themselves heading to the offsite, meeting and kitchen, where we go to. And FURIA deciding here, all right, it's time to get the Jackal back on board. We had the Flores in for the last round, did a bit of work for us, helped us clear a couple of things, but after Fantasy found a 2K in the prior round playing on that Jackal, one, giving back something that, one, provides a lot of utility, and 2, something that he clearly is very, very confident on. Gio looking to hold halfway up the stairs here, a bit of a contest down in towards meeting side, but I think if nothing else for him, it's about collecting drones here and then dipping away again.
Lender just using the Gemini decoy there, dropping back out of it. I'm not sure what happened there, whether he thought he was being pressured maybe. He's got Bolo pushing right up behind him because he's inside of Armory, so he wouldn't be too far wrong, but he jumped straight onto his normal drone and had a little look to see if he could find the man. He's going to aggress over because he knows that Bolo was just pushing a little bit far forward there, and he's looking on this upper floor clearance, but Desi goes running in and Bolo cuts him down. TSM are flying in these last couple of rounds, and this is what we wanted to see out of the North American side. They're really showing us what they have over the last couple of days now. We're seeing the best rather than them struggling. Fantasy, he's still on the chase. He's all the way down in basement. It's going to be achieved that he's looking for. He's creeping around. Who's going to find it? He gets one. Does he get away with it? Yes, he gets Merc on the drop and escapes with his life.
Also being challenged now from another set of stairs by the looks of it, just waiting through, at least into security. Nothing to be found yet. Chalet dug in with a shotgun, who's probably on the wrong side of this cross. Unless Fantasy just ignores him and goes straight upstairs, which is exactly what he'll do. Has the footprints on his ground if he wants to try and track those to see where Bolo is. Got to be careful now that Bolo at least is being pressured from 3 different directions. A Miracle don't need no tracking, just finds a headshot straight onto Bolo. The only tracking he was doing was onto that noggin. Now down to a 4 versus 3. Furia again starting to build back into the round.
Really well played from Furia there. Beautiful teamwork to coordinate that push onto Bolo and clear him out. They've got the vertical. They can start thinking about how to get themselves onto site. It's 4 versus 3 man advantage as well. Miracle's going to go in through small tower, so you would expect the potential for a kitchen plant here, but he's going to have to be careful with that diffuser in hand. He needs to let Fantasy take the challenge, whilst Achieved looks to try and reclaim the top floor, but he gets 1 kill. There's one not far behind him, though. It's Rare who gets the trade. It would have been Fantasy if not, and it's all up to Gio. 1 versus 3, and Miracle has an opportunity to go in and get this diffuser down, but he needs to make sure that he's got the cover. I think Gio might just be able to find himself one here if he's smart. Bottom of white stairs. He knows exactly where the man is. There's a couple of bullets coming towards him. He's going to try to hold down from security, and right now, the focus for Furia needs to be on getting this diffuser down. They've got 10 seconds left to do something about it, and Fantasy's going to do something. He's going to find the final kill after he pings out the Jackal and closes out the round, and that is Furia answering back 2-2.
Keeping it nice and tight, aren't they? And every attacking round win is going to speak volumes here as well. If they can get a third, either on Kidstorms or up on the second floor, which should likely be the next 2 sites that we see. In this case, Kids first, then down into the basement. Then they'll be absolutely ecstatic. 3 rounds on the attack of Oregon would be an absolute dream. But as we go to this top floor, once again, that Jackal is returning. A big leaning towards these Intel operators across the series for Furia. We've seen Niana quite a lot. Twitch has been in the mix too. And now Fantasy's going to change away. Is it going to be the Lion making a return here? Or will he go towards something like the Nook? May even be the third choice there that I definitely didn't say out loud. Finker stepping in with more nades. So often what you'll see for a lot of teams is a mix-up between these two, where you have Iana or you have the Finker. Like, sometimes we used to see both, but the current meta, I think, with the strength of Twitch, for example, with the need for a hard breacher and Sledge being strong, normally it's rare that you'll see the two alongside each other. Here, though, you are going to get both. So, you get them both being able to play entries. The ARX, a great gun. The LMG for Fantasy, also going to be absolutely huge. And 6 frag grenades to play behind is the big one. If nothing else to me, that just says we want downstairs control, and we want to start lobbing those nades skyward.
That's it. We've not actually seen too many of those kills utilised so far in this game, really. We've had 1 or 2.
Well, we had Lender getting 2 in 1 round, if you remember. That was magic.
2 kills 1 round, but like I say, it's not been a consistent theme throughout. And like you say, Furia just wanting to maybe bring it as a little bit of a secret weapon, a little bit of a pocket strat. You know, let TSM feel safe. They've not been using the underneath too much. Right, bang, here you go. 6 nades from underneath. See how you feel about that when the floor is erupting around you. Bolo's going to get himself a drone there in the main lobby. That brings the countdown to 7 for Furia at the start of the action phase. That's actually pretty good going from TSM.
2 Gon 6s on side, it's worth noting as well, so I can't imagine you'll see shields or bulletproof cameras really being too long for this world. The Wamai, the only thing really around to prevent these things being taken out by nades, for example. So let's keep an eye on those. A shield inside a trophy should be backed up by a player inside a pit. Yep, Merc is inside there as well, so they've got the good coverage that you look for in this kind of position. Gio being quite aggressive down main, just in case someone is coming crouch walking up. The answer for now at least is no, just narrowly missed out on the drone and sat on that door too.
Lender not inside of the building yet. I think he's maybe going to consider getting himself into Armory or a garage. It will put pressure on Gio and might just move him. It's looking like Armory, as that's the top floor window. Needs to just get himself repelled in. Gio's been pushed away. He's going to move to play inside of Closet. They've left that wall soft, given the fact that the castle barricade is there. Nice play from Gio, and we get a great view of it. And he's going to reinforce the wall as well. So he uses the MP on the camera, stops the drone, kills the drone, and reinforces the wall. Merc, he's going to stop Lender dead in his tracks, finds himself a headshot and shuts down the Iana. That is 1 kill to the good for TSM, and they are looking good here on this top 4 hold. Halfway through, no key utility taken away from them really yet. Shield's still in position, castle barricade still there, wall not breached. A lot of work for FURIA to do.
There's a lot to play through here, yeah. I mean, the trophy at least has been forced away ever so slightly here. I think he stepped back across in towards sight and down and away. Bolo back off towards the west-hand side. Merc still in pit, but Miracle is in and finding one. That one through the game breach. One shut down on sight because it was Chalet who was holding on towards concrete there and looking to challenge the door itself. A good opening kill for FURIA to move things forward, but here comes Highs on the behind on the flank as well. Fantasy's also in a great spot, but Achieved is holding. Backs away, it's dangerously close. Tim is gesturing to me like no one else. He's dying to see the conclusion of this bit of kiss chase on the go. Can't quite find each other, and Fantasy almost with the nade from below.
It's agonising. It's going to be Gio to find the next kill. He gets himself Miracle, and Highs will not know how lucky he was to get away from Achieve, but it doesn't take long for him to find his man. He tracks him down and gets the kill, and TSM are going wild here in round 5. Bolo shuts down Rare. It's all up to Fantasy. He's got his extra health, his nanobots are working, he finds one. Can he find another 3? That is the question. He sees 1, he sees 2, he can hit neither. Shut down by Gio, and TSM's good fortune continues as they manage to come back and take round number 5. Keep themselves fighting, and it's 3-2 now.
They're not making it easy, are they, Tim? They're keeping it close and making sure FURIA are fighting not just for every round, but every gunfight they get matched up against as well. We're stepping down into Laundry, the final defensive round coming out for TSM. They did pick away a second ago from that clash. I wonder if they'll 6-pick it back in. Rare's even moving across onto the Decay. He's stepping off the Hibana, giving that privilege over towards Miracle. And Bolo going to 6-pick out here to a mute instead. Fantasy could go back over to that Finker once again, or could try something a little bit saucier. It's going to be the Finker, that juice just a little bit too good, and the nades always appreciated, of which they have 4 in this round.
Whew, you and I casting something that's turning into a classic, Des.
A barn burner.
It feels like it's only heading in one direction, doesn't it? With 3-2 almost at the half.
Do you want to say it this early?
I'm not going to say it this early. All right. I'm not going to say it this early. Not yet. Not yet.
All right.
But don't you worry. That line will be coming out if we get anywhere.
I'll join you on that. It'll be like our siege time start.
It will, and it'll be a big one. FURIA, they are 1 round behind. They've had a good attack so far here on Oregon, getting 2 out of the first 5 rounds. TSM really need to lock down the basement here. They managed it back in round 3. They didn't manage it in round 1. They've been 50-50 on it so far. FURIA got a lot of access to Laundry and Freezer when they were successful in round 1. That was something that TSM managed to manage a lot better in round 3. So it's something they need to be conscious of again. FURIA maybe want to mix it up. A little bit of rear stage pressure, a little bit of bunker pressure maybe.
Yeah, I think just keeping them guessing is ultimately the best way to do it, right? If you're giving it a predictable freezer push once again, TSM are going to be ready to deal with that. However, the lineup has changed for FURIA quite significantly. It was the Flores last time around, if you remember, which didn't really serve them all that well. Did clear a couple of bits of utility, but that was about as far as it gets. Here, we have the Decay on side with the smokes. We've got, of course, the Finker coming in for Fantasy. So a number of things moving around for them here. A couple of changes they can make as you hear the first phone call ring out. Bolo playing on the mute is going to help lessen the effect of those. Again, if you're inside the mute area, either when the call goes off or if you enter it whilst the call is going off, it will disable the call or prevent it altogether.
As suggested, FURIA just looking to mount a little bit of rear stage pressure as well. Surely this is one for Fantasy. Oh! Unbelievable start from him. Bolo manages to shut him down, but not before the damage is done, Des. That's Malusi, that's Jaeger, done.
I think we'd have lost our marbles then if that turned into a third onto Bolo inside of sight. Tim, I saw it line up for him as well. But TSM, you've been hit by FURIA in the opening 60 seconds in at least half of these rounds. You know what they're trying to do to you, and you're still falling for it time and time again. It's a little bit of a kicker. They lose 2, sure. Fantasy goes down in the process. He takes 2 frag grenades with him, but those 2 kills cannot be understated. It's a 4 versus 3 with 90 seconds still to play.
just taking over the cams there. That's why we see Merc just deciding to knock the glass out of the bulletproof. The door could be having full access. Bolo, he's going to be pivotal here, trying to hold on to rear stage. Needs to hold that position for as long as possible. Charlotte as well, just looking to keep them out of elbow. Miracle, he's going to be down. Merc finds one. This is an unbelievable round as Lender's going to take a lot of damage. Rare's down. TSM are fighting back. They're digging deep and they are finding the answers. Merc gets there. Bolo gets highs and the round falls apart for the Brazilians. Bolo with another 3 in the round and TSM keep fighting. 4-2 on the half.
I thought surely there's no way they bring that one back after the initial 2 kills coming out of Fantasy, breaking the defense wide open. But you remember, secret super weapon Bolo is still alive. Did a lot of work there. One shut down Fantasy and went on to collect a 3K in the round itself. What a half of Siege we've just bore witness to, Tim. It ended 4-2 like many others have before it, but none quite in that fashion.
Absolutely not. I love what I'm seeing out of TSM here. They are showing such heart inside of this game. They've got themselves a reasonable advantage now, and they've had to really fight hard and dig deep for some of these rounds, and that just speaks to the mentality of this North American team. Really impressive so far, but let's not forget FURIA, a team who do not know when they are done. They do not know when a match is over until that losing screen comes up, and they're going to keep fighting here. They head on to the defense. They've got some rounds to catch up, but I don't think they'll be too worried about that. They're going to be confident in locking down at least 2 of these sites, I would have thought.
Every round's a new round, Tim. No one is influenced by the prior outside of what sites you can and can't pick. It's something very unique to Siege. You get the feel, whereas in other games you think of in the esports world, generally snowballing away with money, well, generally it's based on money. You just get enough gold that you start amassing, and yeah, you just find yourself pulling ahead through other means, whereas in this game it is a full reset. That mentality piece, again, cannot be understated. To be able to keep coming out and fighting no matter what happens, whether it's FURIA or TSM, both are giving it their all in that game. Sure, TSM fell asleep a little bit on the last map and through to the start of this map, but have warmed back into things. And I'm at that point now, Tim, where I'm probably saying it's a good 50-50 split. I don't know who walks away the winner.
I've really no idea. It's a roll of the dice. That's the only way that you can put it. If TSM can carry the momentum and get themselves a good attack here to begin with and go 5-2, you start feeling like that's going to be a real knock to FURIA. But on the flip side, if FURIA take this first round, then it is game on. They are right back into it now then. TSM just stacking up a drone at the top of Freezer would suggest that they may be going to pay a bit of attention. FURIA with a typical LATAM defense of Freezer here, and that's a shotgun and a rifle at the bottom of the stairs, waiting to take that engagement right in the face. But I think that they will be dropping away fairly quickly as that security hatch gets opened up by the Maverick.
Here's a pretty slow start by Chalet.
How aggressive!
See the head? Oh, surely you can almost see the head as he pops it out there. Hatch pops off, nearly finds him, a matter of pixels, keeping Chalet alive and in the game.
So aggressive from FURIA there. They do not want to give an inch. I'm all about it. They just will not give an inch at the minute. They've drawn their line in the sand and they will not be pushed back further than it. Now then, Chalet going to work on the meeting hatch, getting some good work done here, and that is going to really increase the pressure on FURIA. Rare, he's going to struggle to stay in that spot once this hatch is dropped.
Stressing me out on the ADS, and I was like, bro, it's really slow. Let's keep going. Destroy more of it. But he does get it open there with about a quarter of a gas tank left alive, or left in the backpack. Stepping forward from here then, looking towards TSM side. They've got a lot of drones still intact here, Tim. There's a lot of information still being fed, to say that. And they lose 2 more. So, down to just 5, half remaining at that 60-second mark. And here comes a potential push in as TSM starting to square themselves up for an execute.
TSM definitely ready to go here. Merc's going to take a lot of damage there, but continues pushing his way through. He's going to find it reinforced. I don't think they were expecting that, but Bolo, he manages to find Lender, going either way. Rare gets the trade. Rare manages to lock down Freezer. Could be a good power position for FURIA. 35 seconds left to go, and TSM have just taken the foot off the gas a little bit here. They got themselves in quickly, but they've just had to reassess process. They've opened up the hole in the wall with the Maverick, and one goes either way again. 3v3, and this is going to be an absolute onslaught in a minute. Geo caught out by the Wamai Magnet, won't be able to flash Freezer. Rhea has an opportunity to peek this. The diffuser was going to go down. Smoke will take out Merc. Charla's down. Surely this is a FURIA round. Geo, he's got to get the diffuser down. 6 seconds. He's just in the middle of sight, throwing it around, and there comes the final kill, and that is going to be FURIA bringing us back to 3v4 on the scoreboard.
Much better as well. Again, looking back at round 1, it was on exactly the same site as in round 7. Only this time round, the defenders win where the attackers won before. That could be the difference maker. Second floor, we move up to now inside Kids' dorms. And on the side of TSM, that wasn't an awful attempt, but it was more that they all got themselves so crowded together. You had Chalet with a quarter of a tank opening the tiniest of holes inside that supply wall to get an angle across the freezer. He was immediately put down, could do very little. The rest all came in through E-Box, and they were eating smoke for fun, Tim. They just kept on getting tagged out by Merc, even having to charge through it at one point. It was not a good outcome for TSM. Hopefully, the top floor can go better.
I don't know, as I called it at the time, I don't know whether Merc was just confident that Chalet was behind him on the Maverick. It felt like he was dashing to elbow on the Ash in the hope of getting through that rotation, but found it reinforced, and it was maybe just a little bit of a, oh, this needs to change, and Chalet was already behind him. I don't know, maybe it was already the plan and they knew that it had been reinforced at that point, but the fact that he ran through toxic gas would suggest that the smoke was there not very long ago, so it may well have still been open. It was a definite worthwhile attempt from Merc, but it just shows how switched on FURIA were with that timing. Get the smoke out, back through the rotation, no hesitation, get it reinforced before you can be pressured like that, and they were just that second ahead of TSM. 4-3, we find ourselves round 8, and FURIA are going to be defending up on the top floor now. Fantasy aggressive as ever. 10 and 6, his frags are back up, and he is hungry for more. That much is sure, but he might just get some here. Bolo manages to get Rare. Can he get another? Fantasy makes the challenge and gets the kill on the trade. And this is just trade between these two devs. 4 versus 4.
That's what I love. Just nothing is being held, is it? They're just going blow for blow with one another straight the way through. It's absolute chaos. No dialing back, no being passive. It's constantly about playing for trades, getting kills on each other. It's one thing we commended TSM for in their game against DZ in the group stage. It was just continually playing for trades against each other, as opposed to the M&M versus Empire game earlier that day that was much more individualistic play. So it's good to see that still being retained, even against the madness that FURIA are bringing.
Fantasy's just giving himself a little rotation option there, opening the hatch so he can drop away and disappear into the bowels of the basement should he want to. Merc applying the air jabs, which suggests there's going to be a little bit of play from this rear side, but of course they're wanting to get themselves established inside of Attic, and they don't want to be getting flanked from the green corridor. Fantasy still holding on in security for the time being. The wall has been opened through into kitchen, and that's going to increase the pressure for him, but he's just giving himself another option here. TSM have just sort of backed out of that a little bit, and they're not aggressing too much onto Fantasy underneath at the minute.
Now, Miracle, the one inside a pit who's responsible for dealing with the pressure that's going to come in from Attic's side. There are 2 members up there, Merc and Chalet, squaring up to try and push their way through. Obviously, one with nades, one without. But on the back of the Nomad, 3 flashbangs. They can burn through those ADSs, and here comes a nade cooked over the top, also eaten by an ADS. Potentially a little bit of miscom there, as Chalet now has no nades left, and the threat from Attic's side reduced severely, Tim.
If Miracle starts picking up kills there, that's it. You've got to say that it's a little bit of a mistake on the side of TSM not getting that nade past the ADSs, but Chalet, he finds Miracle. That was essential. That opens up Attic for TSM. They're pushing double window as well. They've got Toxic to go through. Chalet finds another, trading out 2v2. Again, it continues. There's blow for blow. These two are just raining punches on each other at the minute. Geo needs to get himself in through this double window. 20 seconds left to go. He's being held from multiple angles. I'm not sure where Achieved has gone. He's rotated underneath. He's going to try to push up wide.
Finds the man as well through the smoke with a spray. There's one left alive. Hyde, he's just got to hold. He's got to win this one gunfight and pray for the time there. They get the cross. Now Hyde has got to beat Achieved and get the spray down. Goes for the impact. Achieved isn't covering, but he can't get through. Hyde can't stop this one going down. Will try his best, but Gio pulls it out.
Huge round for TSM. They came up against roadblocks there and they found answers. I particularly like Achieved's movement off the double window, up the white stairs, and what a kill to get through the toxic gas stairs. Difficult at the best of times to win on that angle, but when your vision's impaired as well, that was just a next class of kill from Achieved, and it really opened the round up for them. Gio, smart thinking, doesn't try to plant as soon as he gets in. He wants the cover of that reinforcement and he gets it. Well played, TSM.
Again, I've got to raise another example in that round of where for FURIA you would expect, as any probably sane team would, that they would dial back when this happened. They get the initial kill into Pit. Chalet, who was top of Attic, gets a kill and you go, cool, Pit is empty. Except for FURIA, they do a sensible thing. They put Fantasy straight into where he died a couple of seconds ago. Now it's back to as things were before. Now what does Fantasy do? He can just sit there and keep contesting the angle, play behind the ADSs, do the expected thing. What does he do though, Tim? He does not do that. He vaults straight up onto the higher attic, he runs straight to the window and kills the man on Kids Rappel. He pays for it with his life, but I guarantee you, Chalet probably made the call of, I've killed the guy in Pit, you're safe, only for someone to then sprint up, go doubly aggressive and get a kill onto the Kids Rappel. It was really, really ballsy. It kind of paid off, sure. Chalet ended up getting 2 kills from that spot there, which was massive for TSM in getting the control they needed, but you just don't expect that. You can't predict that kind of behavior. It is so erratic and crazy, and not in a way that it's like, oh, it's playing ranked. No, these are calculated risks that FURIA keep on taking, and they keep on paying off. Just sadly, they couldn't stop Gio getting the cross from double window. High's there with a massive opportunity to make sure they get themselves up to 4-4. Instead, TSM go 5-4.
FURIA are 100% a team that are going to bring those unexpected moves theirs, and I doubt it'll be the last that we've seen of it yet, but TSM, they've got themselves a little bit of breathing space here, and what a day it'd be for the North American region, Des, if TSM can take this win, taking down 2 LATAM teams on the way to continuing through that upper bracket. It really does start to pile a lot of sort of reassurance on that prediction of TSM being one of the top teams here. You really start thinking, yep, there's a bit of respect on this name here because they are really flying.
It's crazy to think that at the start of this day we could have had 4 North American teams all in the upper bracket and no one else proceeding through. If Oxygen had beaten FaZe and they go on to beat Liquid, they'd be through. If TSM win here, they go through. SSG play Team Empire next, they'd be through, and then down 1 here on the other stream, I believe on this stream actually, are playing the Sonics. They could have had 4, there's only the possibility for 3 now, but I doubt it's all going to go nice and plain sailing for NA.
For a region that has struggled over the last few majors,
yeah.
You know, that's just as it is. For a region that has struggled over the last few majors, to say that NA have managed to turn it around and have 1 team in every one of the top 4 matches of the upper bracket today is phenomenal. It's a great performance. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it.
I'm not afraid to kind of go out there on a leg and say this as well, is that I actually think at the minute Europe looks like the weakest region, which pains me to say. Obviously, as someone who cast the region and loves seeing it. But outside of Empire, you know, Na'Vi have started to wake up a little bit into the competition. They've got Dark Zero tomorrow as well, which could be a real war. Yeah. But it's looking dicey. A lot of our teams are in the lower bracket. Empire kind of turning into our last hope.
As you said, it's what I love about Siege. I love the way that
back and forth nature is great.
That's it. You know, between regions, nobody stays dominant for long, and we see these changes, and then it just gives EU maybe this time the motivation to come back even bigger next time, and we love to see it. But there is a lot of Siege to be played yet before we decide who is best, who is worst, and who is going home. It's not going to be the outcome of this game. Whoever loses will go down to the lower bracket. The other will continue in the upper bracket. And right now, TSM just look like they've got the bit between the teeth. They can taste the victory here. Bolo finds the opener onto highs. But yet again, that trade is not far behind. Rare manages to find Achieved. And we once again find ourselves at 4v4.
Whew. Okay. Spicy how things always balance back out in that 4 versus 4. Looking at Fantasy on the cap cannon, just thinking that's not your kind of operator. But we know what those cat-can traps can do. Now you can double stack them. Some teams leave it till very late in the round and end up running headfirst into them. I'll never forget during EUL, I want to say it was not the finals, it was definitely during EUL. Rogue had two people running through the same door at the same time on Bank and both died to a double cap-can. It was unbelievable. So don't discount that operator. It can do a lot of damage when you aren't paying full attention.
FURIA have given over top floor control very early in the round here, Des. TSM have had the longest time to try and manipulate this situation to get a plant down. They're in a position to try it now. Chalet, he keeps going for it. The toxic gas is just holding him off, but now is the moment. Goes to put it down. Bolo on the cover, gets Lender. Chalet going for it again. Kills raining in. Surely this is the moment. TSM heading for map point here. FURIA falling apart. Miracle fighting his way back in with the shotty, but Chalet, he manages to get that diffuser planted, and there's now 30 seconds for Miracle to do something about this 1 versus 3. TSM are on the vertical, they're on the horizontal, they're everywhere right now, Des.
There's just nothing they can do about this, Tim. I think Miracle living up to his name if he can pull this one back, but no way you win on those. It's a closeout for TSM. 6-3, one more round, and my God, have they fought their way all the way back through this, Tim, because we came into this map nervous for them, but they've made it look good. They look confident on Oregon. I was nervous for this for this map for them coming into it, but they've definitely showed me up, and so far I've given FURIA something to think about.
What a spectacle we have seen from these two teams. Win or lose, both of them have played their part fantastically in what is definitely going to end one of the best games, surely, of this tournament. It's going to be up there amongst many others because we've had a lot of high-quality Siege so far, and I am certain there's even bigger and better to come. But this one has really whetted our appetites now. We've got back into the playoffs today, Des. Day one of those playoffs, and it's going like this. Unreal stuff, and it's not the first one that we've had today either. There's been those second games, particularly on both A and B stream, were absolutely the nail-biters to the last minute. Brilliant stuff.
This one could turn out to be exactly the same. There's a couple of spicy changes worth touching on. 6 nades on the side for TSM, plus a Flores. Tons of destructive capability being brought along by the side, but they will have to meet their maker, a clash. I feel like I'm introducing a boxing match. Highs coming in on the blue corner.
I feel like I've been in a boxing match. I feel battered over here.
Coming in on the blue corner, it's Highs on the clash, or whatever you want to say, I don't know. But I think in that case, they're going to have a really interesting time dealing with that. We know how effective the clash gets alongside the smoke the later into a round you get. We used a term once that we drew from another game, from a MOBA, that we called a power spike. They get to that point in the round where they are most effective. Fantasy almost being caught on the rip there. Not a good start, but at least still alive to fight for another day. But let's keep an eye on Highs. The longer he lives, the more effective he will be, and the more struggle TSM are likely to have to close things out 7-3.
It really does feel like that last-ditch pick, doesn't it? It's the panic pick of, we need to get something here, we need to hold on, bring the shield, just sit behind it and see if we can slow them down. Rare just playing inside of the big tower there, dropping onto the joist after T3, going to hold his position for the time being.
It was Lion and DKB before on the attacking side, if you remember. Maybe Clash turns out to be that pick on the defense. I'm not saying you'll see him roll it for the next 3 rounds. I mean, we didn't expect to see the game get to this point, but it has, and this could be the pick that changes things. If TSM can't deal with it, it's going to cause a headache for them. Why wouldn't you keep on sticking with it?
Ooh, unlucky for Achieve there. Just takes a bounce back off the window frame. That's going to be a denial on the drone throw. He's going to have to go for it again. He was looking up to T3 to make sure it was clear. So TSM certainly paying their due diligence. They're not going to go rushing in anywhere without making sure it's been fully checked. Rare, Highs, they get themselves back to default positions. One's going to be in Shaiko spot, one's going to be at Pillars, and they await TSM's push from the rear side. But I don't think it's going to come, Des, because right now it's looking like a lot of laundry and freezer pressure. That said, Achieved and Chalet just making their way over there.
Yeah, I mean, the Flores hasn't started really with anything yet. Here we go. Now we're going to start seeing those rain through. The question is, what can they find on their merry little journey? To start things off, it's going to be that one mine magnet at the very top of the door. Not quite the #1 thing you want to be catching, but you'll take anything at this point. In the same way, Fantasy on half HP, giving himself a handicap, finds the opener onto the Habana. A lot of her work is done, but now probably can't open up. Shaiko spot is the worry, Tim. Merc also down to about half HP. It's getting saucy.
FURIA feel like they're in control of things here, but we know how quickly that changes. changes inside of Siege. Bolo pushing in, he's been a talismanic player. Can he do it again? He finds his man, shuts down Fantasy. So many times he has done that. 4 versus 4. TSM, they've got an opportunity here. Achieved is going to go down, and it just feels like FURIA are going to come away with this one, but that's the shield gone. 2v2, there's 24 seconds left to go, and this is absolutely anybody's, but the diffuser is down cold, collected by Chalet. Is he going to have an opportunity? He's going for it, Des. He's going to try and stick this. Miracle and Rare, 2v2. They've got to make a move. Merc cuts off 1v2. It's Chalet, it's Merc, it's Rare managing to find the kill. 1v1, can he find his last man? Merc is low health. He's just going to keep himself inside of the closet. So is Rare here. Each of them a breath away from death, Des. It's going to be one bullet that will end this. 30 seconds left to go. 23 for Rare to realistically do something about this. He tries to peek the angle. Merc, he's not moving anywhere. He's going to keep himself put. Surely Rare knows where he is. He knows now. Surely he goes for the pre-fire. Does he get it? No! Merc comes out on top. NA come out on top of what has been an unbelievable battle. And that is going to be TSM fighting their way from behind to take Oregon and to close out this match and continue on an unbelievable upper bracket run so far.
That feels like the kind of series that you classify as a semi-final any day of the week at the least. Back and forth, TSM starting out incredible. FURIA fighting their way back at the tail end of map 1 but can't quite close it, and then stomp TSM on their own map pick. That third one was anyone's guess coming into it, but wow. What a show those two teams have just given us.
Absolute. Just that is why I love this game as much as I do. What a performance. TSM behind at the beginning of Oregon. It was one map all and they lost rounds. Like FURIA looked like they might start doing it. And then TSM, another twist in the tail. Honestly, it's as good as any story ever told. I love it.
What I'm loving
Give me
most
more of it.
is that we're not seeing FURIA be the kind of one-man team many thought they might be. Fantasy has been the name on many lips for the longest time, the last 12 months, many would argue. And you said, throughout the year...
Everybody else is really showing up.
Throughout the year, FURIA were just slowly slipping down and didn't look good. They've come here, they've put on a phenomenal performance. They do fall to the lower bracket, but... you just know you do not want to be a team playing FURIA in that lower bracket. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, our analysts are going to break down what has been an absolute screamer of a series.